Yep, starting. Okay, so today we're gonna talk about client due diligence requirements. And the first question you're gonna ask yourself is, how does this tie into company law? Okay, so one of the key things you have to know, whether you are the company yourself or you are a business who is doing, a person or a company who's doing business with another company is, you have to know who your client is, which is critical in order to not be caught up in any proceeds of crime. So, the first thing we'll start with is, we don't have to follow the notes. A company. As a company, if you wanted to open an account, what is required?
To open an account?
As a company?
Well, to open an account, one, you need a business license. Then we require the share fact sheet or a register just to know who are the beneficial owners of this company. We ask also for the certificate of incorporation, and then we also ask for certificate of good standing. We ask for all the KYC documents for the beneficial owners, plus the signatories who will be on the account, and that'd be like, the passport. What else? Now we ask for that. We ask for the memorandums and the articles for the company as well. What else do we ask? What a long list.
Yes, it's a long list. Let's
Yeah.
go.
What else do we ask for?
KYC was the BO.
Beneficial owner.
Then we also ask for, if you are a new person coming in, we ask for credit references or financials for that company to know basically that
Okay.
who that person is for the signatories
So
itself.
so where you gonna get the credit reference from?
If they are new, it depends, because if you have persons, let's say, if you get it from an ex-bank you were banking with, or we ask you, if you saying
Okay.
that, let's say you are new, like we have some young persons, they may be in the early 20s, and then they come and say, oh, I've never banked with anyone else, then we ask them for some sort of references, credible
Okay.
references, so that's what we do. What else the rest is?
What else we need? As a company, establishing an account. Yeah, you need money. So what do you think you need to provide? That's a good answer. But what document do you have to provide? Financial statements.
Okay.
To see
now
where your
if
money
you're
is
a new
coming from.
person,
What about
A
if
new
you're a
company.
new company? If a new company, you need audited.
If you're a new company, then you have to give source of funds.
Oh, okay.
And if you're providing a credit facility with this, then you will need to know where all that money coming from. What else you need?
Well, now, and for the source of wealth, if you are definitely like a PEP or high risk customer from the onboarding, we also ask for that.
So that's another thing if you didn't put in here. When you get your KYC on the BO, you have to make a determination whether that person is a PEP. And we'll come back to the PEP part later. What else you need?
What is
Go ahead. What you say?
I remember what it stands for.
Oh, okay. What else you need? You need the register of shareholders and the register of officers and directors. Go back to when we started the very first chapter, remember? When I said the constitutive documents. These are the constitutive documents. Share register, certificate of incorporation, register of officers and directors, the M&A. Where does the certificate of good standing come from? Who prepares that? Registrar General. And if I didn't want it from there,
Oh, we ask for the NID certificate as well for the company.
if it's local,
Mhm.
yeah. If I didn't want it from the RG, how else can I find out if a company is in good standing? What's the other document I asked for?
Someone from NID.
No, that's here already. You can ask for certificate of incumbency prepared by the secretary,
Private secretary.
the corporate secretary of the company.
So that replaces the certificate of good standing?
In a way, because this one only tells you that you have met all of your statutory obligations under the act. This one here tells you, I have met it according to this corporate secretary, but it also gives you the names of the officers and directors on one sheet. And also this gives you who's the registered agent and registered officer here in this one document. But this is prepared by the secretary, and this one is by the registrar general.
The annual returns is the same thing as the registration.
That'll be here. Once you get this, this says that you have filed all of your statutory documents.
Certificate of incumbency, you're saying that that's prepared by the corporate secretary?
Mhm.
And that lists that they have met all their stuff,
They confirm that they've met all their statutory obligations, and then they tell you on record who are the officers and directors. And who their registered agent and registered officers are. They're still missing some stuff. Mm-hmm.
No.
What?
No, well, we asked for all those documents to be sealed. So we asked them to have their corporate seal as well, and they have to seal those documents.
Why?
To be honest, I can't tell you. Nah, I'm just thinking that because they are a company and they should have a seal, but we don't take none of those documents if it doesn't
Someone
have the
correct
seal
her.
on it.
Someone correct them. Because it's a company, they have a seal. It depends on which jurisdiction they are from.
Yeah, well, we
Number
don't do.
one. You doing Bahamian companies?
Yes, that's what I was talking about.
Then you have to go to the M&A where the clause is on the seal as to what documents needs to be sealed by the company.
Well, with the seal with us, we
Good
take,
afternoon.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon, the certificate of incorporation, we ask that to be sealed, and we ask for one more, and we ask for the share register to be sealed. Like I say, if it's a Bahamian company,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we ask for them to be sealed. And the certificate of incumbency, that's not mandatory for us to get, but if they submit that, we ask for the seal as well. And like I said, that's just our policy if it comes down to Bahamian companies, and they open up an account with us, we would not open the account if those documents.
Well, I guess I don't say anything but this one and this one because they're all a part of their
Mm-hmm.
constitutive documents.
Okay.
So the corporate secretary should seal it.
Yeah, so yeah, the register.
Because you have to seal it to send it to the registrar.
Okay, well, that may be why we.
You see?
Mhm.
When you submit it for the registrar,
It has that to
you seal them, yeah.
Okay, yeah, cause we ask the share register, the resolution and the register,
Mhm.
those have to come to us seal and if they give us the incumbency.
So what else missing from you? Yes,
What is that?
The CRS or the FATCA.
CRS.
taxation,
Mhm.
compliance. That's required by law now when you're on board.
But what are you providing in that respect?
There's forms that they have to complete to say that they're tax compliant. This one here is they're tax compliant in the jurisdiction where they reside, and this one here is that you're not a US person.
Right, yeah, the consultant
Right,
person's
uh-huh.
form that they need.
So if a Bahamian, I don't think you would need this one, but you would need to do the FATCA.
They don't
You still do the alcohol,
Yeah.
because the access of when you onboard clients, it doesn't distinguish it. It says they need to complete that.
For them to do.
So what does onboarding mean?
Onboarding means when you're establishing a relationship with the bank.
Explain the CRS and the FATCA everything.
Okay, so CRS is from the OECD for tax compliance. CRS is based on residency, where you are resident for tax purposes. FATCA is the United States and is whether you are a US person, which means that you have a US address, a US social security number, or even if you use US dollars, the bank has to see whether or not you are a US person for tax purposes. Anything else we missing?
So when you talk about the taxes and the VAT, you have to provide like proof of VAT, up-to-date VAT certificate.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We ask for that too, with the
Yeah.
VAT certificate.
Mhm. It's the local version of this.
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So do you have to provide the certificate of good standing and the certificate of incumbency, or just either or?
It's either or. If you get this,
Uh-huh.
then you don't need this.
Okay.
You see what I mean? But this proves that the company isn't struck off. It serves a different purpose.
But not all, but all incumbency indicates to directors and officers?
Yeah,
Or
it
they
should. They should.
They should,
Mhm.
okay.
This one here tells you that the company is not struck off. You see the
Or
difference?
certificate of good standing.
Yes. This one here just embodies the register of directors and officers, registered agent, registered officer, and that they make a statement that they are in good standing. That's the difference.
What's the wrong with that? Sorry.
Right here?
Taxes. Yeah, but that was the,
This one here proves that you've not been struck off the register.
okay, but that's from the registrar.
This is from the registrar, that's why I have RG
And
here.
that one is
This one is
not.
from the corporate secretary. Yeah.
What is this RA and R?
Registered
Registered
agent,
agent,
registered
officer.
officer. Now, sometimes when you establish a corporate client, the BO may say he wants an individual account for himself. So what's required for an individual?
Passport or identification card.
Okay, so we put ID. KYC. What else?
Utility
Address
bill, proof of
verification.
address.
Now, they, Central Bank sent something, and they said to use, proof of address, they relax it.
Mm-hmm.
That we don't have to get proof of address for low risk, naming customers anymore, because that was an issue.
Mm-hmm. But if they come in from here over there, they're not low risk.
Yeah, we still, yeah, they say proof of address is not needed.
You see, the thing about it is, it's just like law. Something is written, but you have to be logical.
Mm-hmm,
If this is their company,
mm-hmm,
and now they want to establish an individual account,
Mhm.
where is their money coming from? Is it not coming from this company and any other company they have? So to me, they would never fall in that low bracket.
But why would,
I think what was happening was, a lot of people were calling in because they were like young, students coming right out of starting their first jobs, trying to open a bank account.
And they couldn't open, yeah.
And because sometimes their parents' last name is a different last name from them, the banks weren't opening them some of the accounts. They were even flagging some of them based on who their grandparents were as pet.
Yeah. You see, you have to go behind the rationale for the simplification.
yeah, but I mean, my thing is that, I think every bank does their own thing sometimes, and then they take it to the extreme. You know, as to say that your grandfather, because we don't do grandparents to classify you as a pet. We have a window for it, but grandparent, we would not classify you as a pet.
But
Because
some
of
banks
their-
were doing that.
Some banks would, yeah.
Agree.
Yeah. So even though they had the A, B, and C, remember now, you still have a discretion. So if I run in a company and then I say I want to open up an account on my own, I don't see you using the A, B, and C. Rationally. Now if he walked in on his own without the company, I could hear you saying A, B, and C.
But I don't understand why we have to provide all of that. In the US, you can walk in the bank with your passport and open up a bank account. No hassle, no nothing.
You hear what you say?
Yeah,
The
but-
proof of address.
Yeah, but you hear what you see what you're
I
saying?
live in the US and I hold a US account.
Did you declare it?
Declare what?
That's illegal.
That's illegal.
Yeah.
That's
It's
illegal.
illegal.
Yeah.
It is illegal.
They saying now that the US is, especially Bank of America, they're going through all of their
Yeah.
accounts, and if
And
you
they're
are
good.
not a US citizen, they are freezing those accounts and bringing person, because I think a lot of Bahamians did that, especially I think they went off to school or did something
And
and
they're
they
still
don't
just
fund
funding,
it.
and they're still
Yeah.
funding
Yes,
those accounts.
those
And it's,
accounts.
and we, sometimes we ask like, how you able to fund it, but we understand that they go over there
When
and
they go
put
over there, they
deposit.
fund it. Yeah,
Because
you're
a lot
not
of
allowed to
them
do
come,
that.
a lot of them come to the bank and
Yeah.
they say, okay, I want to send this to my US one, and we don't have authorization to do that. You know, but we wonder how they still have these accounts, because we have some.
Because that's what they do every time they make a trip, or someone makes sure they make a deposit.
Yeah, they send.
Yeah. And that's not the right way to do it.
But still, over there, you don't have to have all this stuff.
But we agree with you,
But then
but
they
hold
have
on now,
other
that
ways-
is,
They have other ways
the other ways to deal with
to
it.
find out information.
Right.
Because your social security numbers and everything.
Everything is
they
linked.
have- Everything is in that.
But it's starting to be here as well. 'Cause people
We're starting, we're getting there.
We're just getting there. Have you noticed it?
So
I
as
see
we
lights in
move,
your car,
right, further
you
and
do your
further
national
into the
insurance, all
technology
those
base,
are incorporated.
then
I
I'm sure they
agree.
reduce it.
If you notice it.
But
But
I
the
agree,
first
the
thing-
proof of address, I don't think that's needed. I don't, because, and it does not work to, it's not so much to the advantage of persons, because like I say, we end up finding out that the proof of address that persons provide, because
They can bring
they
anybody.
could, and it really is not their proof of address. It really is not their proof of address, or you have persons who have their.
Yeah, but the utility bill should have their address. If it doesn't have their address, then they either bring a lease agreement or a
No,
rental
I'm saying
agreement.
that what they present you is not
Stay
a
at
right.
home, you don't have no
You don't
utility
have
bills.
those things.
No,
You
so
have
your
no
parents
none of them.
have one,
Yeah, but then
and that
sometimes.
person has to verify that.
And,
Yeah,
but
the
what I'm
banks
saying
are
is,
questioning the
Yeah.
parent, your
It's not-
last
it's-
name and all of that.
Yeah.
Banks are getting a little personal.
and it's not really, sometimes their proof of address, cause you have persons that, okay, let's say you go to BTC to open an account or get a postpaid. You give them, whatever address you give them is what you, and then they now bring that to the bank in their name and say this is their proof of address, and
Yeah.
really,
I think for local accounts, I can see the argument if you don't need proof of address because they are Bahamians. But when you're dealing with foreigners,
yeah,
You need
okay,
address.
yeah,
That's
agree,
you gotta have it.
yeah. We still ask it for
Yeah.
foreigners, once you present a foreign passport.
Yeah, but for Bahamians,
you
I
have
can see
to-
you're a Bahamian, this is where you live. But then you also have the problem is you have Bahamians come and open an account, but they don't live here.
Mhm.
So you have another issue.
You need me to send anything now?
No,
No?
no, we good.
Alright.
Oh, ask Miguel to make sure he sent her the company law and
Okay, the
IEC
email,
app.
right?
The email,
Alright.
yeah. So that's another issue.
Yeah.
Bahamians do come here, went on vacation or visit, and they open accounts using their Bahamian passport.
They live in the
But they live
States.
somewhere else.
Yeah. Mhm.
But this will capture them, because they have to fill this out.
But I have a friend have
See,
a
if
friend
they don't
who's
lie.
Bahamian. I have a
Oh,
friend who's a
okay.
Bahamian.
Cause here they have to tell you where they are resident.
And they lied.
You know, they ain't supposed to get that.
But I have,
You see- you see?
I have a
Uh-huh.
friend who moved to the U.S. several years ago. She still maintains her account at Scotia.
Mhm.
And so anytime anybody's coming over, she would give them a couple of dollars put on her account, and she would make a trip here once a year. And she would go in and make sure she have these queries she wants, so they can see her, that they you know. And she puts all of her money there, all of her excess funds.
So by now, she should have already filled out her FATCA form.
I
They
don't
should
think so.
They should have a FATCA form.
But they don't consider, she's not considered a U.S. person.
She doesn't live here.
No,
You see?
she had that account here years ago.
But she might fill that out and I didn't say she lives
Yeah,
here.
but she has to fill this out
Uh-huh,
because
okay.
she is a U.S. person.
But I don't think she's,
She ain't done the money.
I don't think she's doing
No. And unless they can see movement from here going there, they wouldn't know. You see what I mean?
But unless they do some little
It's
more
people like that.
research and
Yeah.
check where if she
Yeah.
was gonna add over
And that's how
there.
they get
But you see, but she have her U.S. banking stuff over there.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh.
But all this here, this account here is for her pension. She always say, this is my
Mhm.
pension money, because a lot of times she would ask me, say, I'm not taking no money.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not taking no funds. Certain things I just ain't gonna do.
We have people do that and then they say that and then when you check the history of the account, it's saying Pembroke Prime, ABM,
Right.
Bank of America.
Yeah, but
and that's all-
they use
And that is all they use.
Yeah.
And then it's like, how could you say now that you are Bahamian,
Mhm.
living here, you're not a US
Right,
citizen,
so-
and
All the
all your
withdrawals are
tracking.
showing.
Mhm.
Exactly. Oh, she got a point.
Yeah, you know, let me tell you why I think these banks run out
But-
sometimes, because where I work, we operate a lot of, accounts, right? The signatories, of course, do all of their KYCs, but in addition to that, the support staff, those persons that have access to the account, we're not signatories. We only initiate some of the transactions. We are required to submit our passport,
Mm-hmm.
KYC.
Yeah, right here.
documents,
Where you see this here?
complete the
Where we have it?
forms and
Signatory.
forms.
Here?
Uh-huh.
KYC. You have to.
But we're not signatories.
What do you?
What do you?
We're just initiators, that's all we
Because
are.
we need to know who you
Who's
are
operating the
acting on
account? You
behalf
are-
of this
yeah,
person,
yeah.
because actually, in order for you to act on the behalf of the person, we got a letter from that company saying that this person is authorized to do transactions, get information, everything, so you fall within, you might not sign to go ahead and withdraw
Withdraw
money,
funds.
but you are kinda like the agent for this company, and we ask for the KYC documents, cause we need to know who we still doing business with. Because you might not be able to sign to take off money, but the company gave you authorization.
Right.
Because if you're providing instructions,
So you fall similar to a
then they have to
signatory.
give KYC.
You fall similar to a signatory. And we need to know who, like, cause you could come in now today and ask for balances, ask for history, ask
Right.
for all of that, so
So
you
that
are
means,
just like a
right, so that
signatory.
means, what they call it in banking terms is, you have a power of attorney
Uh-huh.
limited to
Oh,
information.
Mhm.
So we have to have KYC on you.
Okay.
So you might not be able to withdraw.
Yeah, you don't have the power to withdraw, but you have the power to give
Obtain
instructions or to
information.
see information,
Yeah.
they need your
And
KYC.
you know
why
what
it's
we see a
required.
lot? The agents, like persons who do not have the they make no more noise and row more than the signatories and the owners, like,
Yes.
I am
They are
telling
money.
you.
See, she's smiling, she's guilty.
Yes,
If they have money.
yes,
She's guilty.
and then, you know, they say to the end, you don't know me, I've been and then, but y'all don't want to provide the KYC documents now, but y'all want the bank staff to know y'all. And that's where the confusion sometimes is happening.
Because it doesn't matter where I know you by face.
Mm-hmm.
Know you means the KYC must be on file.
So coming back to our point where you
Mhm.
said, you see all the transaction on the account being withdrawn from probably the states, Cuba, where?
Mm-hmm.
What do y'all do in that case?
Well, I mean, to be honest, sometimes that only in when the question arises, or sometimes you have the hits, I should say, because you have like fraud monitoring systems in the bank, and it's actually for the customer's protection. So when we see sometimes that a customer is using the ATM machine, we get a fraud alert, as you say, for your protection, so your card is being used elsewhere. And then that's when the truth comes out, as to say, no, that's actually me who's using this. So you live over there, yes, but your phone says this, We need you to come in and
And
update.
sign it, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Alright.
and then your account is just blocked.
So we
No
don't just sit there and
transactions
look all
until you come
day.
in and do it.
Mhm.
I know, that's why you have to even call now, every time when I travel, I have to
Yes.
call the bank and let them know I'm
Mhm.
traveling. Because
That's
when I went to,
antiquated though.
yeah, because when I went to Toronto last year,
Mhm.
I used my card for 2 days and everything was fine, because you're not gonna buy Canadian dollars here. So, 2 days I used my card, that third day, and everything was just shut down.
Yeah.
Mine too.
And that was
Mhm.
ridiculous
Y'all don't
because,
communicate that y'all
Mine
traveling?
too, no, mine too only got here, mine for online purchase, I was buying some stuff for my home, and my card got used more
But it's so
often.
easy just to pick up the
And it
phone,
go
because
ahead.
even when I do
That's what I do.
online
Yeah.
purchases, if I,
yeah, but
okay,
you're
if
rushed
I'm
to
ordering
work in.
one dress, it's fine.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
If I'm
But
gonna,
when
if
that-
I decided, when I get in the pocket and I see it's $200-300, I make a call, cause
Yeah.
trust me,
Because
they
they're
will
not-
I
charge.
understand that,
Because there's
but
so
they-
much fraud.
But sometimes it's so difficult, and then too, when you call some of these banks,
So which
I
means
bank
that,
I bank at First Caribbean.
uh-huh,
Anybody ever tried calling First Caribbean Bank?
no,
It's
Scotia
ridiculous.
Jamaica.
Sorry.
I think
You-
Scotia goes
you-
to
you-
Jamaica, but they answer right
Yeah.
away.
But
Yeah.
but you're on the phone for 30 minutes.
No, Scotia's right away, and if you leave a number, they call you right away.
Yeah, Scotia's very good.
I
I
know.
understand Commonwealth is good at that too.
We
Yeah.
have our online banking system, so we
Yeah.
have a call center.
I hold
Mhm.
hold a US credit card. When I buy my airline ticket on that, I
Oh,
have
you
to
get this.
call.
I
I went to school in the
Something
States.
right. Oh,
But it
okay.
should have been canceled. but
This has been
yeah.
cancelled.
No.
Yes. You don't live there.
That's how it's supposed to be.
I am not canceling my US credit card to get these tricky dinky credit cards from here.
So
where
wrong
they
with-
shut
wrong
your
with-
card down every 2
So how
seconds.
you pay for it?
I can
mean,
turn my card off using my phone. If a transaction go through on my card, I get a notification on my phone.
You
and I
get it
can
here.
Yeah,
do a
yeah.
switch on my
You get it.
phone
You
and
get
turn
it
it
here.
off.
You get it
You
here.
ain't giving the behemoth, the banks over here a try.
Try.
No, because my banking experiences here, all of them suck.
Uh-huh.
I just only bank with them because I don't have a choice because my salary has to go somewhere.
Yeah, the banks will.
But you're not
That's what's happen. No.
But how do you
US
pay? I mean,
I go into the bank and I get a bank draft and I FedEx it to the US.
Payable to who?
The credit card company.
She doing like what persons do for American Express.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
persons who have
is it
like
American
SIM
Express?
cards.
Uh-uh.
No, but what they do, so the persons who have like American
You said
Express,
same
they
as
come and
the-
show the
Mhm.
bill, and then
Yeah,
they do
that's
the
what they
same
do.
thing.
Yeah.
Especially
Oh.
with the store cards.
Yeah, yeah. That part I could see.
And then too, I guess, I think too, because she's keeping it
After,
at a certain limit.
Limit, yeah, it's not high.
It's not high, so she's not being fly.
Like, yeah, it's small.
Yeah.
What y'all call small?
100,000.
Oh no, my credit card bills be with it.
or the, but see,
Eventually
eventually, not each bank. have
Eventually,
their threshold.
Eventually
yeah,
you
you
will
will
be
be
fly.
quiet, yeah.
Because as soon as one of our exams.
They can find it, yeah, they can find it.
And I think now
Why
with
is
all
this
this
person making all of
CRS
these
and
payments?
FATSA now
Yeah.
becoming a little bit, because
Yeah.
in years prior.
But
Yeah, they
it's
weren't
a
making
credit
them under the
card.
radar,
It
but
shouldn't
now.
matter whether I have my credit card facility here or with someone else. It
But
does
it,
the
but
same
it,
thing.
no, but it depends on whether or not the law here allows you to have it.
You can have your credit card, but eventually they're gonna find out whether that is tied to a US
Okay.
bank account.
Uh-huh.
Eventually they will
And
find
do you
out.
pay taxes
And it's
over
not for us, it's not
No.
for us. It's,
Not now, when I was there, I paid taxes.
Yeah, but you're using that facility and using that currency.
uh-huh. Eventually it will
If I
catch
buy
up.
something, I gotta pay taxes on it.
Oh, eventually that will catch up with you.
Yeah. And you're gonna have the answer.
What? How you keeping my US credit card?
Wait till you wait for that day.
Still waiting.
Later down the road.
And tell you.
Because you don't never have no problems when you're trying to buy stuff online. You use payment card.
No,
Plenty
they
places
well,
to
no,
pay
No,
with
we
it.
have no problem.
Oh yes,
But
my
no.
mommy have one from Scotia, and 9 out of 10 times I tell her stop using that because that don't never work.
But let me tell you,
Right.
it is attached to your profile as well. You know, so people missing.
Yeah.
When you come to the bank, you tell us what it is, and sometimes we ask you the source of wealth and funds to change your profile, but you tell us what it is, how much money you're making, how much you'll be spending,
Yeah.
all that, and we create a profile.
And
So
as
when- only
things
when you
change,
go-
you're supposed to tell
It's
them.
only when you go outside of the profile,
Then right.
things happen, like if you're spending.
What happened? Is that a truck? Oh, like a trucking.
I'm not sure.
Starika, what is that noise? Sound like a truck.
Moms, I get the stuff, you know. I get the stuff.
What stuff
So
you
when
get?
ready, I get Monday probably. Okay, thanks.
You're in class, you know. Dorika.
Sorry. Yes, mom. Sorry.
Was that a truck?
Yes, that's the truck.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
actually at the doctor's office walking back in, but I'm listening.
Oh, okay. They didn't tell us. We thought you were home.
I sent a message to say that I had a doctor's
Oh.
appointment.
Okay.
Yes, mom.
They
But
didn't
I'm
tell us.
listening in.
Okay, alright.
Sorry, I didn't
That's
realize
okay.
that.
Okay.
Well, I gotta
Alright.
make sure I don't
Okay.
know what banks I have to pay my credit card.
No, I think it, if you, I mean,
You
would've
allowed
applied
to
to
do
a
that,
social
you
security.
You allowed, yeah, you
I
to pay your
am
bills.
Within a
Yeah.
certain amount.
Bound, yeah.
Within a certain amount.
But we just telling you to maintain a US dollar account.
It's an issue,
No.
and I do know once, and the things happen so quick because we have customers over here who have accounts in the state, and I tell you, they come to the bank crying, and they say, did you know, so this bank just freeze my
Yeah,
account?
and then most likely
And they
you may not get your money
mhm.
back.
And they said, and these were people, we have a example of someone who was a student over there, and they started to work, and their salary was going to that account, and that bank froze their account, and they now in the process of trying to get their monies back and close it, because they said certain things they did not disclose to
Sure.
them. They were a student first, and now they run their same man. Just don't keep too much, don't keep your life savings there, just in case they want free or something, and you don't have access.
Yeah.
But what I find work for me, that I can take, you know, yeah, we always ordering. And you have to, you use the couriers, their, US address.
Uh-huh.
Just take the information into the bank. I don't have no problems ordering from any place because
Yeah.
it will show up as my billing address is a US address. And that's all the US wanna know, whether this card, if you have a billing address and it shows up in the US, even though I have a local address. But if, I'm ordering stuff and the
You
bank
put the US,
accept
you put
that.
the US address.
So,
Yeah.
I have my US account address on file, cause I only order and ship my stuff to one company.
But I don't understand why she's having problem with the local banks.
I went into RBC. I deposited cash in RBC. It took me 3 months to get my money on my account after I had threatened to sue them.
3 months?
Yes.
Why?
And every time I go into the bank, someone have some long story and some rah.
No,
I
you
have
saw
my
the
deposit slip.
Huh?
the funds.
No, you
No.
didn't know.
No.
You didn't,
I had my deposit slip that the bank manager stamped who did the transaction.
No, from where you
But
got
Where
the
did you
cash
get, no,
from.
where did you get the
Where
funds
you got
from?
the
Is
It
probably
was
what
only
they question.
$800. It wasn't no
Oh,
bunch of
only
money.
800?
Kind of.
So
No,
why
I
wasn't it,
think-
why wasn't it there?
Because they didn't put it there. That was my question to them.
No, but if you
Why
have
wasn't
your
it there?
slip,
Then they tried to tell me another deposit that I made was the $800, and I telling them I have the slip for that too. It took me forever, and I rather
you
just
just
go
write
on
the
the banks
central
just
bank.
like that.
you write the
I
central
only
bank,
have
that would have been
one line.
rectified in
Write
one
the
day.
central bank and you
Right,
get
Ingrid,
your
one
funds
day.
by that week.
That had been done.
I think that's, but
Yeah.
I think that's a little off.
That's
Case.
off, that's off.
Yeah.
Something
That's a
else is
little
probably
off
going on
case.
internally.
Yeah.
But that don't have nothing to do with me. Y'all should have put my money on my account. Y'all sort of y'all internal workings. If the person steals the money, that's on them. I shouldn't have to know but that. My money should be on my
I
account.
agree. I just
I
think that
remember
was-
once I put in my card in the ATM machine, I put in for 1,000 and I got $900.
Mhm.
Because what the machine did was whoever stacked it, took it out of the, central bank sends it in the packet. They just take the plastic off and just drop the packet in. So in the middle of the packet was a divider, a blank sheet, and the machine counted that.
Oh.
So that means that I had to wait until the next day.
What, it was Royal?
When they recounted it, and the machine was over,
Yeah,
and I got it.
No, I
because I know it happened to me. I went into
Yeah.
the ATM. I went to withdraw $1,000 and I got my slip to say that I got the funds.
Yes.
But I didn't get it all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And,
You wait for them to when they
so
retail it,
then
and then you
that
get it.
Monday, they verified.
Yeah,
different
Royal Bank gave me mine for that within that minute. Cause I had it 2 days.
But then
I needed
see,
that money
it was a
credit then.
weekend. It
But
was a
they were still
weekend.
open. Maybe
was-
they
it
were
was still
open.
The first thing was like
Yeah.
9:30 in
So
the
they
morning,
were open,
and I
they were
withdraw,
open.
and it
Mhm.
came out like $300 I would.
Yeah, so it
And
happens.
So
It happens.
things happen.
Yeah,
And they
things
were
happen.
able to see that
'Cause
I
it's a
had
machine.
250.
It makes mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I made a deposit. I made a deposit, and someone came to me at the same time at Royal, asking me if I could give them $20 for lunch. and in my haste to put it in, I left out $200. So when I keyed in the figure what it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
And you know, Royal called me at 3 o'clock when they opened that envelope.
Mhm.
And I said, I'll bring it now. Because I didn't realize it. So I don't understand how yours get that long, but I've never had that problem.
Yeah.
Never.
Fine.
But I
had
noticed too
bad
with Fidelity,
experiences with
Fidelity is a small bank,
Mhm.
but they're very good. Because I had one of my former managers work bank at Fidelity, and she was traveling, and she used her card, and they called the office and they asked her. I said she was out of office, and they said, "Tell me something. We're calling from Fidelity. We saw some activities on her card. Can you verify where she's traveling?"
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Well, I know she's in the Florida area because I didn't know what part of
Yeah,
Florida
yeah.
she was in." And so they were fine with that.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
thought that was very good.
Yeah. But that's how it is. Wherever you're traveling to, you need to let them know. So if you leave in here and you say you going to England, and that's all you tell them, but you know that your trip, you passing through Paris here, you have to tell them. And you give them the dates.
Give them the dates.
Because trust me, you don't know when you pull that car out,
No, not until
who's
the
going
fraud happens.
the fraud
Yeah,
happens.
and then they
And
in the bank,
the funny
yeah.
thing about it is when fraud happens is that if you're not watching your account
Yeah.
and the time limit has passed,
Expired,
like
yeah.
someone who I know, $55,000 was gone off their account, there's nothing they could do. They didn't know.
The Royal had
Money
an
was
issue
gone.
The other day, didn't they? A major happening.
Yeah.
But then that was Royal.
That's
issue, so
Royal
they had to
issue.
reimburse
But this was a
them.
person who had traveled abroad and someone used their card.
Cause First Caribbean had the issue the other
Mhm.
day too, where people with debit cards, they were hit.
Yeah.
But then they just cease everybody
Mhm.
account, they sent an email and then they said, "Come in, we have a new card for you." And
So when
they
you
could
look,
tell you how
right.
much money even, you know, cause some people check their account every day.
Mhm. Especially with online banking.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You know,
Because I check mine every day too.
I don't.
I check mine.
I check
And if
mine
I make
every
put,
day,
you know,
especially
sometimes
when they
when you
had
make
that problem with
purchases,
Roy.
right?
I
You would
check them
see,
3 times.
okay, let's say I know my balance was 200, and I know I swiped something for 50. So I'll check it 3 o'clock, and I
Yes.
see the balance is the same. It doesn't even say on the system that you only have 150 available. It hasn't hit it yet.
Right.
So I check until I see it hit it.
Just withdrawn.
You see what I mean? Because other than that, next thing you know, it's been 50, another 25, another 35. You go 4 days later, you don't remember whether you swipe it or not.
And Royal Bank, I think
You
is.
see what I mean? So you have to be diligent. Otherwise, all your money will be gone.
Yeah.
But you know, I go on the UK websites. They've been having a lot of problems with their banks being
Mhm.
they're hacking and everything lately.
Mm-hmm.
They've been having a lot of problems.
Because you have to realize now, if you look at, they always talk about the Nigerian 401k. And other countries, it's, I think Jamaica started doing it too. They sit down, and with all of this technology now, because everybody like him, that's all they do is go all in the
They have a
computer.
school.
They figure out how to get into accounts,
Yeah.
or how to get into government facilities to get information to sell.
And you
And
know,
so it's
people
easy
still
for
fall
them.
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
People still
falling, yeah.
fall for that.
I will give you a good example. Early this morning when I got up, this ad came on AMC. Are you having problems? I have the answer. Living water from the spring of something. You can get the living water in a jar, or you can get it in a towel, and it's free. And then these people came on. I got the living water, and do you know, in 3 months I got a check for 50,000. Another woman come on, she got it for 200,000. People will do that
And they still
because you're getting the water free, and when you get the water free, then you send the minister a check, so more can come, and people buy it.
That's on the Pineapple Express.
Yes, people buy it.
Oh, yeah.
If you come to me and you say, guess what? Give me $20 and I could flip this over for you. I give you $100 by Friday. Let me take that chance. So you imagine if you go to 100 or 200 people, how much money you get?
Mm-hmm.
You have no intentions of flipping it. You just want the money. That's how people scam you. And they said that fraud is on the rise because that's what terrorists are now using now.
Yeah.
They're scamming people to get money. So it's a way of life for some people. So that's why you see all the institutions are asking for all of this information. And realize too now, we're not the United States, we're not Canada, we're not England. We don't have the technology that they have, nor do we have the intelligence that they have. We only know about people being arrested when we hear it in the news. They know it before that. And that's the difference. So you could actually onboard a company or an individual with all of this information, go on the internet, and they're clean. But when the funds go across to one of those countries, they stop it and they say, no, this person is under investigation. You would not have known.
Even when people come and they present everything for a bank license,
Yeah.
if you don't do a world check on them,
But sometimes you have to go even further.
yeah, because everything they have
Yeah.
is clean.
It's clean. It's very clean. So all of this is just the beginning. So we can piggy off now from what Ingrid just finished saying, where everything is clean. Due diligence. You have to do due diligence. So the first thing people do is the world check. But you put the name in the system, and anybody who has been convicted of a crime or there's any negative exposure comes up on the screen.
Pets come up too.
And PEPs come up. We can come back to PEPs later.
Yeah.
Then you do an internet search.
So world check will be.
It's a system.
It's those type of
A
systems.
system. You
Okay.
put in the person's name, the date of birth, or the country, and the system runs it. So it's a database.
Okay.
Now you can do the passport check on it.
You can do a passport check if you want to. Internet is looking out generally what you can find on this person, general information. And from here, based upon what you find, you can dig even further.
Because the US have their people anyone who's arrested and stuff, if you search their name deep enough.
Yeah, you could find it.
Find their
Right.
records and everything.
Then you could go to the OFAC site and see if there are any sanctions against that person. So the US has their OFAC list.
Is it just sanctioned against a person?
Yes, they have
Or
individual
can it
sanctions
be
and
sanctioned
jurisdiction
country?
sanctions.
Okay.
You said individual and group?
And companies. So countries like the United States have their sanctions list. The EU has their sanction list. Canada has their sanctions list. And then the United Nations as a group have their resolutions, which are like sanctions. So you have to do all of these checks.
The one where you said the US resolution, that's under the OFAC or that's a separate one?
This,
That's
Yeah.
separate.
that's a different body, United Nations. They have their own resolutions.
And they have sanctions?
Mm-hmm.
From time to time, we would receive them and we send it to the licensees.
Yeah.
Come to the AG's office.
Now, when you do this check, if your onboarding form doesn't ask the question, are you a PEP? You'll find out when you do this. So the question now is, what is a PEP?
That's right.
And PEP means a politically exposed person. So who would fall within a PEP? Definition of a PEP.
Senior government official.
Mm-hmm. And this is both sides. Who else?
Family of them, their
Mhm.
spouses.
Plus close associates. And close associates is not just family. Diplomats. member of states, judiciary, military, permanent secretaries, so these are all persons in high positions. Locally, you would add the, what they call them, family island administrators. Yes, because they have a responsibility on the island. They have a budget.
Okay, I get that, but my question is that, let's just go back to
These?
the first one.
This one?
The officials, cause officials just saying wherever they are, they only, official for a certain period. Is
Mhm.
there a time frame?
Okay,
To be
so the
considered
rule,
that?
the rule is once a PEP, always a PEP.
Okay. What? I
Mhm.
thought you just had a period.
no.
Yes, once a PEP, always a PEP.
Cause you have that circle,
You have that circle. You will have to prove whether you're one of these, that you're no longer in that circle.
Now, we take
When
you off
you get
once you have
appointed
come
to
out of
some
office,
positions.
or if you have come out of office for a year.
Okay, so you take me off for a year, but every Monday, I'm in the newspaper.
No, now, from what we see or what we prove as, if we see you've completely come out
Then,
of that,
right.
yes, and then if you've completely been out of that for a year,
That's not normal.
that's what we do.
No, but I
They
mean,
don't,
like,
they
okay,
don't leave that circle that quick.
well, suppose
But
I'm
then
a
we
judge,
cut,
so I'm just like a judge, I'm a judge, okay, I retire. I'm 65, I
Uh-huh.
still have some more living to do, how much more years you want to consider me a fair?
You could be retired,
But you're still
but you could
actively
still, you could
involved.
go to
No,
another
that you're not
jurisdiction as
actively
well.
You know,
involved.
that you retire.
You fully retired.
So I mean, like,
But
this is-
retired don't mean you stop working.
No, this in that person's
But
case,
remember
I mean, in
now,
this case,
PEP
as a
means,
judge.
when you say someone is a PEP,
that they exposed to it,
Okay.
yeah.
no, PEP, you are a PEP because of influence.
Mm-hmm.
So the word is
okay.
influence.
It's
Yes.
influence.
So I could be a retiree, right?
But you could
Like you
still-
said, judge, you're part of a club, an association.
And so maybe
I
give
still
it
attending
still
all
have
of my
that
meetings.
network, you
I'm
still
still
have
getting,
that
I'm still counseling, I'm still doing things, whatever, you're still in that network.
Agree.
Well, I
Yeah, I mean.
So you have to rationalize.
Yeah, because
There are some
especially
people
if
you
you
can take
retire,
off and
somebody
some you
gonna
can't.
come and
Agree.
they're gonna say, well, let me drop this pipe back past you, and they're gonna still come, and you may still give them some words. of
Yeah, they
of
influence.
advice.
I agree.
Right.
I mean, I agree, but I just think some people, when you said like a once a pep, always
Once a PEP, always a
I
PEP. To
just-
me, you have to prove you're no longer a PEP.
which is
Listen to
difficult to
that.
prove.
No, it
Because I still
depends.
influence, you ain't gonna know, if you're dealing with influence, how do you know who you could influence?
And
That's
many
like
persons
family.
don't wanna admit to being a pep.
Yeah,
That
because
is
the
like
bank
that.
is
Cause they're gonna
still-
say, apparently I'm no longer.
Yeah, but
no
if, but if it is,
research.
but if it's obviously clear that you are,
Mhm.
then you are.
Agreed. But I'm just saying that some persons, especially when you come down to the spouse or the children of the
Oh, that's
these
automatic.
persons. No, I'm saying that, let's say someone is already out of office.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that they might have been, let's say a judge or a magistrate, they're out of office, but we now still classifying their children as a PEP, and they may have retired or
Okay,
come
so-
out of it.
Alright, so keep that thought.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget it.
Mm.
Let's go back to the beginning. We went through all of this, right? Why do we do all of this? It's because of money laundering.
Mm-hmm.
Money laundering has 3 stages. What are they?
Placement,
Placement, layering, and integration. If, using the example you gave, after 1 year, I take you off, right? Who's to say, based on your influence, you're not getting contracts or other transactions that can pass through your accounts? You move them from high risk and drop them low. It'll pass, because they're not under heavy scrutiny anymore, but they still have influence.
And then you could be retired, and then the government can change.
Can change, and then they hire you as a consultant,
Uh-huh.
and you don't even know they're a
So,
consultant.
Let me tell you, and honestly,
You see what I'm
I
saying?
agree, but I'm just saying that, you know, there are some persons, like you have persons who would have been elected, let's say as an MP,
Mhm.
one time only, for whatever
Uh-huh.
reason. and then we classify
But if
them.
they are still sitting down to party meetings,
No,
having
I'm not meaning
discussions,
them.
they can get kickbacks. You must
Agreed.
watch them.
No, I'm not saying them, but what I'm saying is that them, we've classified Ren and classified their brothers, their kids, all of those things. They now retired, haven't been into politics or.
As
So
small
they
as this
say.
society is, it still moves. Because you'll find that when you read on cases on corruption and bribery all around the world, it doesn't stop. It continues. Because guess what? I could be out and retired, and when someone comes to me and say there's a contract, it doesn't have to come through me no more. I could give that to my son, or my nephew, or my uncle, and it passes like that. And then they give me whatever I need out of it. And so it still passes.
We just have plenty peps.
Yeah, we will always have plenty peps. Because once you have the peps in one bucket, you know automatically you're monitoring them on a higher scale. And then you could focus more on the other ones who are creeping in. You see what I mean? But if you take the peps out and you throw them back down there, you'll miss them. You'll miss them.
So these persons who, okay, just say my father was a judge.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm coming up, now I'm trying to establish myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming in the bank with high risk already.
Yes, you are.
Like I
That is how it
I
is.
keep my foot on the ground.
But that is how it is. Mm-hmm.
That's rough.
I think that's what the world has come to.
That's what's come to. Because don't forget now, think about in this society. When you go out to certain places, depends on who you are, and you say, you don't know who my father is. Okay?
So you get the preferential
You get
treatment on
preferential
one,
treatment.
on one end, and when you come
Exactly.
into the bank, you don't want.
Exactly. And once you see the chauffeur making deposits on behalf of one of these, you watch the flow of that money.
So the chauffeur,
He can be.
he can be considered
Yes.
affiliated.
Close associate. If he start doing transactions on behalf of, then something may be going on. You could even see sometimes that you have a government official and a total stranger making deposits. And that stranger may have a company account. So sometimes you see money flowing from the company through the stranger back here.
And you didn't know that.
And you
they
didn't
were
know.
associated
And you know
until-
they were associates.
Till they get the contracts.
Exactly.
Tell the government change.
Yeah, one of the two. But you see what I'm saying?
No, you put
Yeah, because this is how.
Okay.
Let's go back now to the beginning of the chapter. Let's go back now as you have the 3 stages of money laundering. Use an example I just gave you with a company, because that's the layering. The funds, you have to be able to stop this before it gets into the system. And that's the hard part. If you haven't done this properly and you haven't done your checks and balances. So, here, the Proceeds of Crime Act 2018 says what can be identified as money laundering. And they say, if you conceal the proceeds of a crime, if you disguise it, if you convert it, if you transfer it, or if you remove it from the Bahamas. What these two having jokes in the back here about?
I'm sorry,
What?
we're talking about the act. I have it for so long, but I just never read it. I didn't have a need to read it.
What you mean a need?
You see?
There is a need.
It's on my desk for so long, and when you say proceeds of crime, I was like, oh, I have that.
But you need to read it.
Now you see why.
You see how wide it is? It's a conceal, disguise, convert, transfer, or remove. All of that from the proceeds of crime. And so when they speak about the proceeds of crime, you here at the very beginning, have to figure out whether the money is coming from an individual or company. Are those funds proceeds of crime? And to know if it's the proceeds of crime, what the act has done is they've done it in two sections. One is what they call identified risk.
Where are you reading from in the act?
Hmm?
Where were you reading from in the act initially?
Proceeds of crime act.
Yeah, where?
Section 9, 10, 11, all of those.
You know, page 16.
In your notes. So, identified risk, and then they have others. So in the act, they give you identified risk. Identified risk came from our national AML, CFT, PW team.
National.
PW.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what PW is?
What it is? AML?
Mm-hmm. What?
What's
PW?
CFT?
Proliferation of weapons of mass destruction.
Proliferation of
Weapons of mass destruction.
What is what? That's what the AML, CFT.
that's what the PW
That-
means.
This is the national AML. So what the Bahamas has done is it has a group, a member from each regulatory body, and the compliance commission, and the police force, and any other government agency. They've come up and they've decided these are the inherent risks in this jurisdiction based upon the business that we offer to the public. So when you look in the act, it tells you this is what they've come up with. These are the risks they see in the Bahamas. Corruption.
What page you on in the act or section? You still on
Page
that?
8, section 2. Section 2. This is in part 1, section 2, page 8. Got it?
Yeah. That's what
Right here.
oh,
Nine,
okay.
all 9. Let me see
Okay.
yours.
I didn't bring it.
Oh, you didn't bring it in? Go ahead. Oh, this is the old one. We have a brand new one. No, you need the app. Well, let me see if you got it in the bill.
This company, huh?
You know, the
Proceeds of
crime.
crime, 2018.
Oh, don't get me a good wrong one.
So I need to print that.
Because you know, we just had a whole new suite of legislation. Everybody aware of it? Yes? 2018, Proceeds of Crime Act, Financial Transaction Reporting Act, Financial Transaction Reporting Regulation, Financial Transaction Wire Regulation, and Anti-Terrorism Act. All new.
So we need to print all of them?
Proceeds of Crime Act, Financial Transaction Reporting Act, Financial Transaction Reporting Regulations, Financial Transaction Wire Regulations, and Anti-Terrorism Act. All new.
What's the last one with, after the wire? I think it is.
Anti-Terrorism Act. So, what the National Committee has said is these are the identified risk. So whenever you read the act, which you can't see, Ingrid,
What's the after
Your
corruption?
handwriting is just not.
Cybercrime.
What?
Cyber.
Well,
So it's corruption, what's the second one, cybercrime?
Cybercrime,
And trafficking?
human trafficking, money
So
laundering.
these- You're saying, oh, sorry.
What are you looking for?
Find you people who ain't had a
Oh,
binder last week.
shoots.
Got like 4 of them, eh?
Yeah.
Only us normal people, regular.
Yeah, but here.
Yeah, none, yeah.
And you saying when I started, I keep saying, well,
I see the one who came here the first day and all. I see
She,
that one.
she said she had a problem, right? She was here last week. remember?
yeah,
The
that's the
one
one who
who sat here
no,
originally,
no.
she had a death,
She had a death.
2 deaths in the family.
Yeah.
Someone had gotten killed last Saturday
Right.
morning.
She said she may not be here this week. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I think she
Stood
said
up
she
and
had
said
a funeral
something.
now.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Cause
Yeah.
I didn't see it last week either.
So she'll need this video.
Okay.
She came off. She was at the doctor's office. I think after she left and went in her car, it dropped.
So what page did you read from again?
8 or 9 for you on your phone.
Yeah, that's in the definition section.
Yeah.
I printed it and I forgot my bag.
It is the National AML
Section 2
It says section 2, this is the definition section.
is in definition. Look on the I.
and the PW is the proliferation of weapons.
What happened to my throat? It dry and side tickling. Hope I ain't getting the things for George. Getting around here. Money laundering.
PWND.
Uh-huh.
What are the-
Proliferation of weapons of mass destruction.
Oh, okay, come back to that
That's
again.
okay.
You want
Yeah.
more letters?
They can't keep guns off the street. They figure they can find proliferation of weapons of mass destruction.
Mm-hmm. Don't forget now, how the act is written, the crime could be committed somewhere else and then continue here. So that's why they made it all inclusive.
What is TF?
Terrorism or financing of terrorism. And then when you go to the first schedule, page 76 or 77,
Reading the act.
What is this, T/F?
terrorism or the financing of terrorism. Oh, you have the bill too?
Where we go into?
The first schedule at the back. Proceeds of crime.
Where can you find the, what's the act? Is that the I just Googled it, Proceeds of Crime Act 2018.
All you need to do, go on the Bahamas laws online.
I think this
Yeah. No, I don't have that.
Oh.
Yeah.
They have the old one, initially it says Proceeds to Crime Act, which is the old one, you have to look down, underneath is the 2018.
2018. Yeah.
I just Googled it.
Just Google it, it'll come up and it'll show, it'll say.
Okay, first schedule.
Mm-hmm. So go to the first schedule and it tells you these are other crimes. Any offense under the Prevention of Bribery Act. So that means add to this list bribery and corruption. See, corruption was there. Now this bribery, because our act only spoke to bribery. So they put corruption under identified risk. It also includes any offense under this whole Bible, the Proceeds of Crime Act. Which means that it's an offense if you conceal, if you arrange, if you acquire, if you use, or you possess the proceeds of crime. That's how wide it is. We got that?
Very good.
Yes. So it's conceal, arrange, acquire, use, or possess the proceeds of crime.
All this still under the identified risk.
No.
Oh,
Identified risk, stop right there.
okay.
Stop where?
Stop it.
By the
Identified.
terror.
After terrorism.
So what is this now?
Bribery isn't an identified risk?
No, because bribery has its own legislation. So it says any offense under the Anti-Bribery Act. That's what I was telling you, the Anti-Bribery Act didn't include corruption.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the conceal, arrange, acquire, use, and possess,
Proceeds of crime.
where that to go?
All of these are under the Proceeds of Crime Act. Any offense,
Right, but is that considered an identified risk or?
no, it's just an offense. Because remember now, you could have any one of these risks, and if you conceal the proceeds of it because it is a crime, it will fall under the Proceeds of Crime Act.
Okay, just make sure we're clear. So the identifiable risk are corruption, cybercrime, human trafficking,
And those were the
Money
risks that
laundering.
are identified by this team.
right, by the team.
But under the Proceeds of Crime
And
Act,
the
it goes
proceeds of
even
crime
further.
starts with bribery, any offense that conceal, arrange, acquire, use, or possess.
Any offense under the Bribery Act.
Oh,
That's
under the
number
bribery
one.
act. Okay.
Number two, any offense under the Proceeds of Crime Act.
Okay.
And what I highlighted for you is some of the major offenses under the Proceeds of Crime Act, which is concealing, arranging, acquiring, using, or possessing the proceeds of crime. Then it does another catch-all, and it says any offense under the Anti-Terrorism Act. So here it just said terrorism or the financing of terrorism, leaving it general. And then what it is it points you to the act and said any offense that's actually in the act that falls under the Proceeds of Crime Act. And then it says any other offense. So any offense where to them, based on the transaction, you can actually interpret it to be a proceeds of a crime. 76 or 77.
Where you have the first schedule, that's where you reading this, okay.
Yeah, but you have the bill. That is longer than that.
What is ATA again, I'm sorry, it's after
Terrorism. Then it goes on, it says any offense under the Securities Industry Act, sections 109 to 120. Any offense under the Environmental Planning and Protection Act, Trademarks Act, the Patent Act, the Penal Code, section 63. And then any offense that is done outside of the Bahamas, that is a crime within the Bahamas.
So the half more.
Is more. Yeah. What?
So we have to break that?
What?
Right now?
You should. You need
That's
to
just
do
for
it.
knowledge or that's for this class, that's my question.
You need it for both. Because with the new legislation, the onus is on you. If you know me, and you said you was in some financial problems, and I say, okay, I'll help you out. I give you 5,000.
I need to know where that come from though.
Yeah, you need to know where it come from, because when they arrest me, they will take you.
I didn't get that company's act, as you said, Miguel sent out the company's act.
You're not on the email?
Yeah, no, I
Can we get it?
didn't get anything.
Write your email down, where's your email?
Yeah.
Okay, I can go there right now with it. Put your phone down.
I get it, to the top.
Okay, and that's the same thing for spouses. You know? You have to know where money is coming from. Because you see how this says? Whether you conceal, arrange, acquire, use, or possess the proceeds of crime. So someone gave you something, you had a suspicion, you didn't worry about it, and you took that money, you used it to buy something else, then you will be going to jail too. That's just how they have it now. It's wider, much wider. So, in the institution, there's a duty on the MLRO to report. Now, most institutions have what they call an internal filing, and then it goes to the MLRO for the external filing. So the MLRO makes a decision based upon the internal filing whether or not the suspicion is warranted. So if someone comes to the front line and they notice that, guess what, this person made $2,000 deposit yesterday at this branch, $4,000 the week before another branch. Now they come into this branch with $3,000, all under the radar. When I say under the radar, what's the ceiling? No, 15,000. And so they say, this doesn't look right. They've asked him questions, he won't answer where he's getting this money from. So the front line then raises an internal report saying, these are the deposits made, and we can't get an answer from the client. The MLRO then now has a statutory duty to review that, conduct investigation, and file with the FIU. That is their obligation. Failure to do so, what's the fine? $10? No, failure to do this is how much? You serious?
Or in prison.
What is it?
It used to be 25,000.
It's not that anymore. No, go look in the section.
I don't know which it is.
Go look in the section.
This is 500,000.
It could be 500,000 now. You must send him to jail.
I thought you had your act.
I thought this
Which
was
section, under which
Company?
section is that?
Company Act?
No. We in the proceeds of crime
Oh,
act.
Which section, Christine?
That's in 40, hold on, let me see, 30, I left mine in my car. Let me see. 13, 14, let me see, failure to disclose, video.
That's under 12.
Yeah, nothing for the penalties are here. Where you have the vote me? No, this don't have the vote me on it. You have it online?
It doesn't say how much.
No, it's
All the penalties right there.
penalty right there. Come on.
They're right there, trust me. I just need to remember.
It's either $200,000 or $500,000.
And I know to say 500.
Okay, a person who commits an offense
Which number?
is $500,000.
Mhm.
Yeah, $500,000 or 12 years in prison.
Yes.
Or if you are
12
convicted,
months, say.
12
12
years.
years.
And if you are convicted on indictment, you go to jail for 20 years.
Yeah, then I know some pay
Or
55.
fine or both. Yeah.
Yeah, I see it now on page, I have it on page 19.
No, this
Page
confiscation.
55.
So
Page
the-
55 is
yeah.
there.
Yes, and I know it's pay
Mhm.
55.
Now I want you to find it in the legislation.
I have
You
it on
found
page
it?
19.
Okay.
Wow.
So who go to jail if they don't, who's supposed to disclose this?
The MLRO.
Who's the MLRO?
That's a statutory appointment. You hire someone with expertise in compliance, and their job is to report suspicions of money laundering.
Do these, when they get these.
So they go to jail or the company will be fined?
It can be both.
Are they where, are they
Isn't the
where?
company
Yeah.
responsible for their actions?
It can be the MLRO, the company, any employee within the company.
That's under the Ministry of Finance or
What?
the MLR?
No, finance.
The financial.
Intelligence unit.
Because I will have a family, she has a report, she goes.
It's the FIU.
The FIU.
The FIU in an investigation, see it's a criminal matter, then they send it to the police, commercial crime unit or cyber crime unit.
Now, is that where,
It's financial investigation unit, yeah. So the MLR
Can I
is
come
the
in an
person to
AG's
go to
office?
jail.
No,
No,
finance?
no, finance, all under, financial services,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So the MLRO can go to jail.
That's not in a job with her.
Because she doesn't repeat, and then she or he doesn't report, you mean? Okay.
Failure to report.
Okay.
Jesus is that and I'll report every time I take this.
When you want the investigation, but it's more of a matter of satisfying that, okay, if I come to you as the ML, officer, and I have a scenario or belief
Yeah.
that this client is whatever. And isn't it a matter of how opinion or how does it really work?
You actually have to investigate it,
She investigates.
whether or not there's an actual suspicion or whether or not your suspicion can be answered and is reasonable.
Okay.
What happens if you find out the information and it's not good and you go, I guess they don't report to the people, they report directly to the FIU?
They
Something
report
like that.
directly to the FIU externally, internally they report to the AML committee.
Suppose the AML committee don't want that to get out. This is a good client, this is.
No, you only report to the committee that you filed.
Oh, that you filed,
That you
just
filed.
they say they
So
may
you
not.
say I filed one,
Uh-huh.
or I filed two,
Oh,
that's it.
oh, okay. Okay, cause sometimes
That
they'll say,
MLRO
yeah.
themselves, they make that decision on their own.
Oh, okay. Sometimes
And it
they'll
goes,
say, you know, I.
yeah, it goes.
Okay, that's okay.
No one should stop you,
No one will.
cause at the end of the day, you're the one who gonna go to jail.
Okay.
But now with new legislation, the regulator can impose administrative penalties. And if they find out that one of the directors was actually involved in trying to stop it, they can also be fined, have a personal liability. Now, one of the issues you have is tipping off.
What is that?
Tipping off means, no, not whistleblowing. This is you overheard her telling her supervisor or her coming to the MLRO to say something doesn't look right in this account. So you in turn go and you call that customer and say, they checking out your account. They're making no more deposits. If the MLRO becomes aware of that, then that's called tipping off. And it's against the law. What's the fine for that?
I saw that.
Summary conviction, imprisonment for a term not exceeding 7 years.
You hear that?
Punchy.
You lost it?
Quickest. No screen sensitive. Yeah, summary conviction for imprisonment 7 years for a fine not exceeding $500,000.
Mhm.
Or to both.
conviction and indictment of prisoner for a term not exceeding 20 years. So,
Mhm.
fine or both.
And because we haven't had convictions in the past, over the past 18 years, we have to convict some people.
No?
Remember that?
Yeah, but that don't make sense. You only convict people if you find them guilty.
The international arena is not of that view. Because we're high risk, we're a cash society, why don't we have
By
any
one person
convictions?
having been convicted.
It doesn't add up. You see what I'm saying? So even though the amount of SDRs filed have increased, we still don't have anybody being convicted.
Yeah, but you can't send an innocent man to jail because you want to appease the national community.
No, but crime is going on, you know that?
Because we otherwise qualify for not address.
Yeah.
Why do you think that we didn't have any convictions or it wasn't a crime?
Because the law wasn't
manpower.
wide enough to capture all. now it captures all, cause the onus is on you now. You see what I mean? If I give her that money, the onus is on her to say, guess what? Where must I get that kind of money from? She didn't give me $30,000 for the year. Where she got that kind of money from?
So you
You
think
see what I'm saying?
Thank you, Ms. Archer.
Don't worry about the way, she don't worry about where it come from, right, that benefit, no.
But you see what I'm saying? So the onus is now on you.
But you think now that the small man is gonna suffer for, because it'd be easier to say, okay, you were negligent, I'm giving you the money, it's easier to find out that you were negligent, you didn't ask questions. And me who doing the money laundering, I passing this money on to you, you didn't ask the questions you're supposed to ask. So you think now that this small man, the money who is going to is gonna suffer more than the person who's actually doing that money laundering?
Then why you say suffer?
No,
Why
I
would
will
you
get
suffer?
convicted. Quicker.
No, but don't forget now, when you do money laundering, it's a chain. You see? It's a chain of persons. And it depends on who the court is trying to convict. This person could turn evidence against this person. You see what I mean? So they may be able to get off. It's who you're after. Who is the main perpetrator? We're trying to jail. Is it this man here that got the $5,000? Or can he provide evidence that, based upon what this one said and this one said, it directs us to what's the crime that was committed?
That's not the case in the court now.
And work
Which
on
one? Oh, yes. Yes. So now you see why we have this act,
Yes.
but we didn't have that. And in most jurisdictions, they go hand in hand.
I was on a jury for a particular case, where the person, he had an account in the US. And he was committing one of the offenses, one of them up there. And it was years before that case came to the AG's office. And it was just prosecuted about a little over a year ago. And it was amazing because a lot of people were saying, he called, when he was making these transactions with the person in the US, he was calling like these highfalutin people names. He had a certain, so he was associated, he had close association with certain people, but because he used their name, because okay, I know Christine, so I can say I know Christine,
yeah.
so he used their name. But when you see as a juror, the information they gave you, the bank, the US Bank of America, they had all of his business transaction. They had when he first created the account, the address he used to say where he lived, the US address, and it ended up being in one of his US associates' name. It was their actual address. So he was saying he didn't know that person, that US person, but from the US bank account, you see the relationship.
Okay,
So
so
that's so far
that's
back.
the
See
part.
where he changed his
Okay.
US account address, his account to another US address. You see where he added on his wife's name to the account.
Right. So this is what they do.
You see only two withdrawals.
Okay, so
So then, even though they were saying, oh, all these other people were involved, nobody left the account. So it's amazing how when you being a juror is a serious thing because you see so much things, you hear what everything of what is happening outside, you reading the newspaper, but I realized that the news people in the audience, but they don't really say the truth. They make everything seem so important, exciting, but the U.S. kept such good records, and they weren't looking at him. They were looking at a big company, and he just was one of the small persons.
Who was involved?
Yeah. It was. They had everything. They had the U.S. had a paper trail and everything. He did.
Going on.
So before you start this piece, I just want to go back to Center opening, onboarding, right? We start on the individual way, we start by KYC and proof of address. Were those the only two items or were there more to be added? I think we start there.
You need a reference, CV,
Oh,
an individual. Depends
okay.
on who they are.
So these like people who trading as, right?
What?
You refer to individual, or you mean just
They could be you, me, or trading as. But if a trading as, then you're gonna need the documents from Department of Inland Revenue. The certificate.
And,
What's that?
we,
I'm sorry.
Certificate of compliance if you're doing the trading as. Anything else we left? KYC, proof of address, reference, CV, source of funds.
and we would ask still for the source of wealth, depending.
Depends on where they are.
Mhm.
Where you get that certificate of compliance? Oh, in line revenue.
If you're doing a trading as company.
When we say certificate of compliance,
From the Department of Inland Revenue. That you pay JNIB, your real property tax.
and it says certificate of compliance?
Yeah,
Oh, I've never seen that.
yeah.
I mean, maybe now that's to say what, that you paid your tax?
In order, yeah. As a matter of fact, I think the website actually gives you the listing of all of those persons who are tax compliant.
This like VAT tax compliant, this,
Department of Inland Revenue covers all taxation.
now the only thing I'm seeing is that, like the VAT certificate, you see that? I
No,
don't know
that'd be
like-
with their number.
No, we have, okay, you get a VAT registration number. And
Yeah.
it's and then it's a next one with VAT, as to say that you are compliant. But I'm wondering if that's the same thing, that's
Probably
what I'm
the same
saying.
thing.
Okay.
Double check. But that one says that you paid all your taxes. You can't get the certificate if you want on a payment line.
Maybe we request that certificate of compliance.
You have to request that.
Yeah, cause I'm seeing something like that.
I
Okay.
don't know if I wrote this down right. I saw source of funds and then I saw source of wealth. I can't relate them.
This is maybe we're doing a corporate account,
Yeah.
right?
What's the difference between source of funds and source of wealth?
Source of funds is where's your money coming from now.
Oh, location.
Source of wealth is how
Okay.
you retain, amass all of your wealth.
Okay.
So for a company, that's why we get the audited financials. Sometimes you may get it the last 3 years, 5 years, it depends. Oh, one thing we forgot off the corporate is you need an organizational chart. If you have more than one company, you need to see the group structure. Because funds come in and out from different companies.
Now, okay, wait, and this is what we do, so you tell me if this, if we don't ask for the organizational chart, but if we have we get a share fact sheet, we get that, and if that is owned by a company or something other than individuals, you have to give us a share fact sheet to trace back to the individual, so we don't ask for the org chart.
So before you even get this share fact sheet, whatever you're talking about, watch this.
Which is similar to like the share register. like
Yeah,
that.
but you ain't getting the picture. This is the company here. When that company comes here, they say, I expect to pass through my account 50,000 a month. Right? I intend to send wire transfers. This is outgoing to company 1, 2, 3, 4. I expect to get money in from companies 1, 2, 3, 4. Out would be in a range of about 15,000. In would be in a range of about 65,000. No, less, because you say 50. Say 30,000. How would you know if they're related to them?
if those companies,
Are
You
related
have to ask for
to
the
them.
proper documents to see the link.
No,
I don't know.
you ask for an org chart
Only?
of their group.
Only? Only the organization?
No, that's the beginning.
Oh, sorry, okay.
That's where you'll be able to link things. So when you ask for an organizational chart,
okay, maybe call it, because you would give us when you say an organizational chart to me.
say this company here, right?
Mhm.
You have the BO at the
Start
top.
with the BO.
This the man.
Okay.
Mhm.
Then you have the first company that they own. Company 1. Company 2. Company 3. 4. Huh? And this company right here could be the one that's opening the account. So when they give you these names, you know right off the top that these are sister companies or the parent of this company. Now, what you find with international companies is when you open an account, sometimes they don't add in this structure their JVs. What's a JV?
What is JV?
Joint ventures.
Stop that, like, we have this conversation.
I will see if the light bulb is on. Joint ventures. You do call it.
I am freezing.
Yeah, so there's joint ventures. So sometimes they have joint ventures with other countries or other companies, and then monies is coming in. So you need to know all of that. Now, once you get this, and these match to this, then you gotta ask for it. Or, let's say that none of these are related to them,
Mhm.
but 6 to 8 months down the line, you see a payment or money's coming in from one of these. Then you know, I need to get more information on this. You would have probably just gotten the share register.
Yeah, we get the share register. and
Now you need audit financials.
we get them, and then we would get a documented letter from the company as to say, okay, this is the advice that we will be doing business, or our expected income. It comes from these companies, and then they would declare if those companies are related to them or not. And if it's not, then they give us sometimes, depending on what the dollar value is of those things, a copy of their contracts or their relationship with
Yeah, you
them.
need the contracts.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't basically ask for the org chart. But I think maybe we do.
You're
in a
doing
way,
it
but
in a
do-
roundabout
yes,
way rather than
yes,
getting it up front.
Yeah.
Where you could do a hit or miss.
Mm-hmm.
You see, because if I have this and then I see something different, then you have grounds to close the account.
Agree, or maybe but we would get it if an individual, like if an individual is opening up this account, they're known to be a business person, and they say, okay, I have this, like, basically this holding company, and these are all my organizations underneath, and so we maybe, we're asking for it, but just in different forms or different ways.
Yeah. And the same thing, you could get this for this. If this person says, I'm gonna get my funds from my various business operations, then you ask for the organizational chart of all their companies. So you know where the money is coming from. Because you never know when you do a check, whether or not these companies could have been involved in bribery or corruption. And just to add to this, each jurisdiction has a bribery and corruption index. Each country. So it doesn't matter whether or not you are clean or not. Just because you come from a certain country, you're already risk rated based on the corruption level. And the Bahamas is not low. Our corruption, and no, we are not.
No?
No.
Where we fall? Medium?
Between medium and high. Yeah. We're trying to get to medium. And hopefully we'll get to low. But what do you think we need to do to get to low? Convict some people, okay?
There's a couple of them, I used to for the car. Now, next one, what, start November something?
Which one is November?
20.
Who's November?
Shane Gibson, one starting in November.
That gave him
Oh.
trouble.
Just trying.
You better try.
You think so? Yes.
Don't even try that.
I think
feel
so.
I
No.
said God during case management that ain't getting in trouble.
That get in
They're
trouble.
gonna
Feel like-
litigate that.
They will litigate it, but I
Trust
just
me.
feel personally that because there are
If
no
you look
dates,
in your
can't-
proceeds of crime
No,
act,
I
look
think
at
they
the
have very much
section.
evidence
They have
on it.
evidence.
They
Look
have
at the
evidence.
section, look at the section
Yes.
on,
Let's go
hold on, hold on.
Look at what he declared when he first started
But we-
politics.
I'm about to
Look
tell
at
her
what he
now.
No, but
declared
that's
now.
questionable.
Go to
because
part
And then look
seven.
at what his salary
What
was.
about 7 of the proceeds of
And
crime
look at
act?
the people who have been
Part
as
seven.
associates.
59 or 60.
Oops.
Unexplained wealth orders.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Explain what?
Unexplained wealth order. You gotta come before the court and explain to the court, where did you get your money?
Mm-hmm.
And they're not playing. They will take it all.
And remember now, some people talking.
All.
They have some.
No, but
They have
Yeah,
some people
because
who talking.
because the
They ain't gonna go to
legislation
jail.
is so wide now,
Mhm.
exactly. If you have concealed it,
Uh-huh.
you knew, you use it, you acquire it, you possess it, and remember there are 3 stages. So we're not talking about you being the first one with the money.
Mhm.
It's when she get it, then she turning it over to you.
Uh-huh.
It's a whole link.
And I
So
think
it's a large investment in this.
Yeah.
down the road.
That he keeps
Is that
saying it's
pressing
not
the
theirs.
corporate veil? Do we
Yes.
have to do that?
Yes.
Mhm.
There we go.
Which part?
Getting
So
smart.
you want
wants
to
to
take
take
one?
one.
Yes.
They said two parts. They said
You pierce the corporate veil.
But
Mhm.
I
So
thought-
hold on. So look.
I thought the movie thing was thinking those.
Hold on. Watch. Watch. This is it. This is the building.
No, I thought we was talking about
Oh, thing it's that.
one place.
I thought the movie thing was separate. That's the guy who and those young guys.
Hold. Watch. Yeah, you learn this already in company law.
Okay.
Mhm.
Here we are.
Yeah.
When we get the annual statement that is filed, it says Ingrid Lloyd, whatever it is. Right?
Yeah.
But behind this document, there's an agreement between Ingrid Lloyd and Christine Archer.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Okay. And so if I want to know whether you actually own this, we will pass this corporate veil, because that's fraud.
Well.
And then there are many others. There are many others.
I thought
They
it was
only,
I thought it was a
they only could be
subdivision.
open for about 6 months.
Yeah.
If even that,
They're
that's not
trying-
long.
and they're trying hard,
Right.
because like we go back to her point, you have to prove that wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Where did it come from?
Because
Where
it's
did it come
basic
from?
for him.
You-
Look at what he declared when he first started politics.
Mhm.
Look at what he declared in his last declaration.
But we don't.
Right.
Look at what the
And-
salary was
right.
that you'd make. There's
And-
no way you could have
Yeah,
lost that kind of money.
Exactly.
And you, and you did not
And
have
it's
operating
salary.
companies generating that
salary
kind of
was-
money.
was
You
public
can use
knowledge.
your audit
No,
financials for that.
It's not
It's not possible.
Public knowledge.
So you might as well get prepared for your wealth order absolute.
I think we as Bahamians we get so emotional though.
Yeah, but it's so obvious.
It's obvious you can
It's
see
obvious
it.
a blind man could see.
Yes, but you know something
In the Bahamas,
when
it's
they
only
say
says you go into politics broke and leave rich.
Exactly.
In the US,
But
you gotta go
notice,
into politics
and
rich
every-
if you want to be in politics.
Every other country,
Yeah.
one by one, you know this is happening?
yes, but what I'm
Politicians, one
saying,
by one, are being charged in jail for corruption. One
But it
by
needs to
one.
happen though. It needs
It
to
needs
Every
to
happen.
country.
but then too I think that before we get to the stage of it needing to happen, we need the judicial system need to be adjusted because being on the jury the other day, it was
Oh, the jury, that ain't be no jury trial.
oh, okay, it shouldn't be a jury trial,
That don't
trial
have to
because
be a
guess
jury
what?
trial.
You have people there who don't understand
Because
it.
we think we know these people. We see them
Yeah,
on
and
TV.
because-
We see
and-
them
and-
down
No
road.
juries,
And
not
no.
that.
You
No,
listen
ain't no
to
jury
people,
for that.
No.
And when you're meeting with the
That's
jurors,
the court, before
what they
justice
say, you
starts.
wonder if they was the same place where you when you
Yeah.
been.
Because we take
None
them
of the
personal
other,
because
none
we
of the
think
other
we know them.
justices for what it is.
You know, we think we
Why,
know them or we know
Charles?
somebody. who
Majority
knows them.
of them is Bahamians,
What?
so they don't want
Do what you have to do.
But she ain't Bahamian.
What's that?
Who
Angel?
won?
Yeah.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
She the one that
No,
No,
she's
she
the
got
one
it.
who have it.
She
None
got
of
it.
the other ones wanted
Yeah,
it.
because she'll be independent. She'll go by the law.
Well, that
That's what
makes
needs to
sense.
happen.
But there's more than wants to
6
go.
degree of separation, you know how that is?
Yeah.
And so it's difficult
obvious. It's so obvious.
It's obvious, very.
Yeah. But when
You
it
need
just
to sign
disappear,
off on
how
one.
can it just disappear?
You can say you get it
Put
from
it in
Anna
the
Nicole.
trash.
That's
yours?
Anna Nicole.
That's yours.
Yeah, right.
Different services
Big
handled.
old yeah. But that should have passed through his account too, or did he keep it?
What he saying?
That's a lot.
Remember now you say you only get
He
one
wasn't
watch
supposed
or
to take the
something.
watch, so he couldn't take
Yeah.
anything else.
He was strict, but he took the watch. You remember?
And
He
that's
had
all
the-
he said.
Yeah.
He can say, you only got the watch. So how now? You wouldn't say you get all this
This
other
cash,
money.
yeah.
So you see how they have broadened the legislation now? Cause that part was never in there before.
Was this broadening of the legislation intentional? Because this
It was
is
missing.
2018.
Don't forget that it was missing.
Yeah, but
Because
I'm
they
saying-
keep saying, why haven't you all prosecuted and confiscated?
Yeah, but when they started the broadening of the legislation, was it because of these situations now with they?
No, no,
Oh,
no,
okay.
You know how
no.
long state
International,
legislation.
I'm
no,
just saying.
international pressure, saying these are the gaps,
Okay.
this is what you're missing. But it's just unfortunate that you come right in time for us now to demonstrate how this legislation will be implemented and you will be jailed.
Cause they ain't gonna go through all of that, just go with the basic premise.
Yeah.
Before,
And after,
after, salary,
yeah.
and
You would have
you
no
don't get
companies.
complicated.
Well, a lot of cases just as bad too with the hospital. That terrible too. That's how you can still get over the contract too after. And that's good. 'cause
No,
you
no, no,
already-
no, no,
this
no,
one
no.
is
You
worse.
can give someone a contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, if the man tell you, for me to give you the contract, you gotta pay me, and she paid him
That's
because she needed
bribery.
the contract.
Bribery.
That's
Okay.
bribery.
But,
Yeah.
you know, you gotta live. In this country, that
Mhm.
is so rampant. If you don't give, that's why everything costs 3 and 4 times what it is, because any contract that is
Mhm.
given out, somebody getting a kickback.
But I'll
off
tell you
it.
something, what I learned from watching African movies, which is a Commonwealth country like us, that is the way they do business.
Yeah.
If you want a contract,
That's right.
and that's how I learned it, I didn't know it before, but I watched it. The very first one I watched, and they show you how she wants to get a contract to pave that road, right? The tender goes out to anybody who wants it. She comes to you, her friend, Ingrid. Now I know you know Ms. Archer. I need this contract. I had to talk to Ms. Archer for you. So Ingrid comes to me and she said, she want a contract. What's the bid in the money? I tell her $80. Tell her put it in for 100. To be over the amount, but don't worry about that. So she go to you, you put it in, I go, I talk to my boss, and I say, the long as you need, but I have somebody who won't pay 100. 80 for her,
Ready for us.
20 for us.
That's right. That's why they
That's
trying
how it
to
works.
put, that's why they trying to put the bidding thing in place in Ministry of Works now.
You see? And that is how it works. And when I watched that, it opened my eyes.
Online, that is it that.
The,
You see what I'm
they
saying?
wanna put the bidding
And that's
process
cash,
online,
just
so
move.
everybody could see.
You see what I mean?
Well, that
And so
makes
it's
sense.
automatic. You gonna pay that 20,000 before that contract is signed. If you can't bring that 20,000, you ain't getting that contract. We go into number B, where we used to make it 15.
Or part of it is every
Or
time
every
you
time
get
you
paid,
make a pay, you
you
pay
gotta
me,
pay me
and
a
you gotta
portion
pay,
of
because
that.
otherwise you ain't gonna get another contract the next time. All of that is bribery and corruption.
that
I
happen here so
They will be
rampant.
jailed.
And a lot of people need to be in jail though.
Rampant,
Well,
rampant.
it's gonna, you have to stop it.
And start off with someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people have to see you serious. Cause they're not talking small money. So you can imagine if you're a foreigner and you say you building something for 200 million, how much money they asking for? You remember all the stories before? When they used to be saying, oh, they meeting, having a meeting today, 4 of them sitting around the table, and all the suitcases went from underneath the table. They don't mean literally suitcases, but you can imagine with that kind of deal. You want to come here, you want to do this, 10 million.
They
You
even
see what
do
I'm
it,
saying?
you know, they say, okay, you have the foreign investors come decide the heads. They tell them when they come in here, you go to this firm. You don't go to this firm, your contract or your project ain't even considered. So it starts from
At the very
in
beginning,
the
yeah.
door,
For me to entertain you, you gotta pay.
in the door.
So we know whether you're serious or not.
I'm breaking, you see some
And
things.
don't come afterwards when you don't get it. just because you didn't play the right ball. Let's say we do some investigation, we find out you're a fraudster. You didn't pay your money to get to the table, you're not getting that back. That's gone. That's how it works.
And you have developers when you.
So there's a culture we have to change.
I think
Yeah.
that's why Digicel pulled out too, because they were bidding for the mobile,
You gotta pay.
but they weren't prepared to pay.
You
Yeah,
gotta pay.
you have to
to
pay.
play, is what they call
And
it.
it,
That's so sad.
and it happens all around the world, and like I'm telling you, people are being charged all the time now as they begin to clean up.
When I worked for the government, one of the developers can ask the minister if IVs could be a problem.
Yeah.
So the gumption of him to say that to the minister don't tell me she don't get hers from him because he want to know if I could be a problem.
Yeah, which means how
For
many
me
you
to
peeling
do
off
my
the
job.
hawk, so she can let it go where it needs to go.
Honestly, it's
Yeah, but that's how it works.
rampant.
That is sad though.
But that's how money is flowing. That's how people are building big structures.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why all the government buildings is be overrun by 100,000,
Mhm.
million,
One
or
million.
$2 million.
Couple of millions.
Yeah.
Because they gotta
No,
make sure
no,
they
Because,
stay.
no,
but isn't it,
no,
but
no,
isn't it,
no,
but isn't
no,
it
no,
surprising,
no,
isn't it surprising when you see, I renovated that building and you know, based on average of new construction, that was at 250. And then when you hear some discussion in the house, you hear 5 million to do what?
Yeah, nothing else, nothing inside.
Nothing, exactly, money's gone.
Waste of money.
No money gone. They didn't waste the money, the money's
people's
gone.
money.
It is the people's money.
It's
But
been
if you don't
invested.
hold them accountable,
It's been invested.
yes, we know it's being invested, yes. It's yeah, you're getting it back. Because, you know, you have an entertainment center or whatever it is, you're getting it back. Or we spend it here, we open some shops down the Bahama. If that had ever happened, I don't know what y'all would have done.
And the hairy bank.
Yes, you put it in that. Because then you take the money and you buy them houses and cars and send them on trips and all that kind of stuff. Well, what I tell you is say conceal, use, possess, acquire, all them will be going.
This is gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
I just gonna say that,
Mhm.
this case here is gonna be interesting to see how this pans out.
I mean, you just go from basic principles.
But it makes sense.
You don't even get a complicated.
You don't even have to go to that
Start,
extent
finish,
as to whether or not
salary.
this person themselves who's being charged is fronting for someone else. It'll be up to them to say, this ain't really my money. This so and so money. Go after them. You see what I'm saying? I'm only just the bag man.
Because you didn't,
You see what I'm saying?
you didn't watch the
That's what
news
happened.
when
That's what
they
I'm saying.
put
When I was on
over
that
who was
case.
to deal with
When
I was
Lima
on
and
that
the money and that the government had borrowed. A totally different minister who had nothing to do with NEMA at the last hurricane they moved. They said, oh, he'll be dealing with the money that they borrowed from NEMA because they know he know how to move the money.
Exactly.
Yeah. But when I was working on that case,
And the thing about
You all
it, and
need
the
to,
thing
you
about
all
it
need
is
to
an
pay
art.
attention in the news.
It's an
we
art.
pay attention to
It
we
is an art. Because guess what?
we know, we
Notice how
know.
they delayed
And it
all
was
of the
amazing
audits.
how,
Right.
it was
They
amazing
delayed
why
them
he
for a
was, that
reason.
minister was selected.
Because you gotta doctor the figures.
But
Right.
he wasn't there, had nothing to do with it. That was just it.
And if you're not a player, then that's what happens.
And that's why,
This
though,
is a
the
disaster.
former prime
Yes.
minister, none of them would move him because he allowed his people to play.
Yeah. And they all
So
benefited.
none of them,
Yes,
none
everybody
of them would
benefits.
move him.
Yeah.
Don't care what foolishness he did. They wasn't moving him because he allowed them to do.
He knew all the dirt.
Either y'all, you better get your own. And he ain't moving. Why rock the boat?
Yeah. And we living good.
Yeah. Sad.
Why do that?
Y'all ain't realize though, people just make more money under the PLP government than they have now.
Yeah.
All the time.
Mm-hmm. They all complaining. Everywhere you go, you hear them complaining. This government. This government. I
Like
talk
they-
about
not
from
like
the
they
very
been-
bottom,
like
from the
they answer
bottom,
the polls.
all the way to the top.
And they vex.
And they vex. Because you know why?
Been to the
They thought
polls.
more money was gonna flow to them.
Yeah.
They thought they was gonna get the VAT money back. And then it was gonna, like, they supposed to walk and say, here, 10 grand for you. Yeah, 10 grand for you. This was missing. That ain't happening.
And
The
because
country
now,
needs- we
because
need
the
to be
government
things
is
to get a
trying to put
modernized
things
place.
in order.
Oh, they don't like that.
People are very, very angry.
Yes,
Very angry.
because just like she say, there's no more, give me this on the side, yeah, give me that on, that don't happen no more. Doesn't happen.
Alright, government could change that, see that.
Yeah. People,
know.
people,
Yeah, but the
people
framework
vex.
is already in place and the eyes are on us. You see the problems we having as a country now, trying to sit around the international table.
Yeah, but like the eyes are on us, but if everything changed and it go back to the same system, who's gonna be watching? Who's gonna be dealing with the
International
situation?
people,
Well, no,
they watching.
yeah, they watch
They
it.
watching. They watching. They watching.
The US is watching.
And the US
Yeah.
is watching.
And
Oh, they could watch.
documenting.
They could watch. They don't miss a beat. They don't miss nothing. Only they miss is the murder to the farm.
They miss it, you know.
I don't miss it.
They miss it, they just ain't saying who do it.
Yeah.
They know who do it.
They don't need.
They know who
they
do
don't-
it.
They say they ain't getting involved in that.
No, that's
Exactly,
That's not
they
their
know,
business.
but
They
they
know.
ain't
So
put
that's
it
telling
in
you
that.
that was
That's
not a
their
person on
business.
the little
Yeah.
shop on the street. Okay.
That's
They
their,
don't put
their
a
business.
warning.
That's
Yeah,
what I mean.
but
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
take them
No
long.
warning came out for that one.
No,
Okay.
no, that wasn't their business.
Don't take them long for
Yeah,
warning.
I don't think that was their business.
No, that's a local
Cause that is
thing.
so, that's amazing.
Yeah,
That is amazing. But anyhow,
but that's a
so
problem
then you
that,
can't
you know.
even say, if the US behave like that, you still can't say you have clean people watching because everybody do what they want to do.
Mhm. But don't forget now, if you look at it, think about it now, you have the pressure from the OECD for taxation. You have the US for FATFA, right? You have all of this de-risking going on. I keep telling people be mindful. The people from the embassy walk among us all day long. They
Yes.
talk all day long. But they know from the ground whether we're doing this or not. They know whether there's bribery and corruption going on. They know. So you can't fool them, because they're here. And because our culture is so mixed, you don't know who's who. It's when a person walks on, they don't stand out to you no more.
No.
You see what I'm saying? You
That's
say,
why
"Well,
that's
why
why
does
these
one-
are going up.
why they over here? Or why they in this area? It don't matter no more.
Or why they dress like
Or why they dress, it doesn't matter. So they're here and they know. You can put anything on paper. And they'll say, that don't go like that.
And they listen to what their children say when their children come
From school.
Because a
And
lot
when
of
they're
times the
jogging.
children talk.
When they sit
and,
at McDonald's, they know. And that's why I tell people when you go to the airport, do not believe that they don't know. They know.
Cause you see sometimes people get arrested and you're trying to figure out how
How
they
they know.
that.
Them on
They know.
money.
Uh-huh.
When you do that little scan, they can see everything.
Yeah, but I'm
They
saying.
can see straight down to your breast,
A
everything
lot
on your
of
board
times too,
today.
your name
So they
is
can
flagged.
see
Your
if
name
you
is
have
flagged. They flag your name from off the street.
Anything. When I had my surgery last year, my stomach was swollen. Right? I did the scan like this. You know, they wanted to push my stomach. I said, just had surgery. I said, you want to see the cup? She'd say, no, just that it's a protruding, looks like it's padded. I said, well, you can raise it up and you can see it's not padded, it's swollen. But that's what I'm telling you, so you can't hide it. Unless you swallow it, and even you swallow it, and you can still see it.
That's true, because my mama has a visa, and she had surgery as well, but she had some stuff going on with her finger. She scanned her hand, and that did not completely match, and we had to get her all to the back, and extra precaution, and we had to scan again, till the point where my mom was like, she's now going to travel with her, all her medical documents.
Yeah.
And they had to do a different scan
Yeah.
and everything, and we had to show the letter from the doctor as to say that, you know, she had surgery, she was taking some medication, and it had her finger, and I talked about when they scanned her finger, and that did not something was off with that, and I tell you, we had to get her all to the back.
My mother has both of her knees, she knee replacement, and she has a pacemaker. And so the doctors done everything she have a certificate for, little card. So as soon as she reached there, she just says, pull out her cards.
I
Yeah.
show them.
And
You
give
need
them her
to.
cards, because they don't.
But that's how serious all of this is. So it's not just the revamping of the legislation, and it's not just conviction of persons. We have to change the culture. of the country. Because if we don't change the culture, it's still going to be the same way.
Thank you.
He's trying to redeem himself.
Oh, really?
Can't be with
Yeah,
this
you
face
have it,
like
but we
that.
can give it to one of the new person.
I have-
That's mine.
With this face like this, I'm not sure
That's
he's
mine.
trying to redeem himself.
Say that again. No redemption. I passed the point
This is
of.
what you sent.
Yes.
So this is the-
Yes,
oh,
and he
okay.
said he would
So
print it for you
printed.
all.
That's
Thank
nice.
you.
That's his punishment.
Yeah.
His punishment. Yeah, so you see the wealth order. But this is what I wanted to show you. You have in an institution an internal STR, the front line. Then a decision is made, depends on how it's structured, to Senate, to the MLRO, who makes a decision whether they're gonna file an external STR with the FIU. When it gets to the FIU then determine whether or not, based upon what you sent them, if they need more information. So here, it can actually go in a loop and go back to the financial institution asking for more information. Now, based upon what you would have filed to them in your STR, let's just say you say here that there were 3 transactions, 1, 2, 3. One was for 50,000, one was for 80,000, one was for 20,000. This happened between February 1st, 2018. This one happened in March 20th, 2018, and this one happened in April 2018. What they will do, the FIU, they will then look at this, do a search, and then they will come back to you and they'll send a request. Provide KYC on the beneficial owner of that account, KYC on any other related accounts. So this means that if that person is on a joint account with you, they want the KYC of the next person too. Then they'll ask you for all of the bank statements for a certain period. They may ask you for it from the 1st of January 2018, or if they have something else in their database system to say this person may be involved in a crime, they may take it back to 216, 217. Then they'll ask you for any other information that you have. Now, based upon this, they can come back and say, they don't say we found nothing. They will say, we leave it up to the institution to make a decision if they want to carry on business, which means that they didn't find anything negative. If they find something, it goes to the police or it goes to the AG's office.
What determine where it goes? If it's the police or the AG?
This is the commercial crime or cyber crime. This one could be when they're part of a bigger operation. Which means they have enough evidence on what you give in order for them to start charging. Or what the FIU can do is, based upon what they see here, when they send it to the AG's office, based upon what they find, they can tell the AG, I want you to send an order out to all commercial banks and ask them if they have any accounts in these people's name.
And that's what happens, because we had a case, and some stuff went to the FIU and everything, and we closed the account. And about 6 months later, the customer came to us, and they were very irate because they had accounts, that same account at other banks, and all the other banks closed their
Yeah.
accounts, and they were upset with us.
So that they're sitting with a check and they can't use it.
Yes, and
But
their
you
thing
know
was
that won't
like,
happen under this legislation anymore. You won't have a check to carry anywhere.
That's true.
Because that's what's happened. They will close your account and give you the check and say, I don't want to do business with you anymore. But now with the wealth order, you will have to prove that those funds didn't come from illegitimate means, which means you'll get more money inside the coffers. Let me take it back.
So the banks wouldn't be giving the checks to them anymore.
It depends on
what
the
they say.
situation, yeah, what they say.
What you mean by the checks?
Like when you
Whatever,
close it, you know
when
that
you
they
close it, they give you a check.
Oh, okay.
Then you have to
Or
go
you
walk
can-
around to another bank to
Yeah.
open an account.
Well, like she say, depending on what instructions they get.
What instructions you get, because you could have to say freeze the account,
Mm-hmm.
which means they're gonna do more investigation and probably charge the person and then go through the whole trial and say that is from proceeds of crime. And then if it is, then the money will go to the government.
So I make an investment in the,
Investment where? In investment, okay.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
and I get some cash back or proceeds from that. But I want to now bring it into country. What do I have to do to prove that that money is legitimate? Even though I'm not even sure if the company that I did business with is legit. Because sometimes these companies say that, oh, you know, this is a nice place to invest your money, we are legit, yes, yes, yes. I invest the monies, I get some returns, but I wanna bring it home. What do I do?
Well, the first thing is to find out the company is legit.
Is that what the banks will ask?
And
So what-
Google and people.
Yeah, Google,
you
yeah.
Google and Google and people.
Before you put your money in.
Before you put your money in
Before
there,
you buy.
you have to make sure, one, you're not,
But
go
you
back
gotta
to chapter
protect
one,
yourself.
that the company actually exists. That the company is not struck off.
So I
And the
do
company is
work check.
authorized to do whatever it is they say they're supposed to do. From a company standpoint, then you have to do a world check on the company to see if the company has any sanctions against it, or whether or not they had any, penalties against it.
So you're saying you're the investor?
You see what I mean? Yes.
So you have to do your due diligence.
You have to do your
Before
due
you take
diligence.
it out, before
You're
you
gonna,
take
you're
it
gonna,
out.
you're gonna do your due diligence
Before you
on the
invest.
company,
Before, yeah.
right? From a statutory point of view. Making sure that the company is not struck off. It's still in business. Then you, based upon whatever this investment is, you need to see whether or not there were any penalties against this company. And if there were, on most websites, they will explain what the penalties are. Because you need to see whether there are penalties against them doing breach of trading, whether there are penalties because they took too long to file, or there could be penalties whereby one of their directors or officers was fined and dismissed. Or depends on the jurisdiction, you see based upon the penalties, they actually ask a company to restructure before they can carry on business. So they're different, you have to do your due diligence.
That if you're getting like income or returns from this company, I mean, that we had a case. For example, it was this this person who had this company, and they were getting a large amount of funds in from the company. So they thought the company was legit, and they provided us with the contract and everything, the proof of how they're being paid. So we did our due diligence, and we looked up the company, and we did all of that. Come to find out that the source of the company ended up being a place in Africa. When we traced back, and we felt that the company was not a legitimate company, and that they were fronting for this parent company, and we did not take the funds from the company, and the customer's very upset. But we sat with them and we traced back to the fact that where we feel the funds were coming from, and we did not allow the funds into the bank. And they showed us where they invested in the company, very much, and this is now their returns,
Right.
and it was like tough luck to me.
And remember now,
So you just be holding
this-
this check and you can't do nothing.
you can't do nothing with it,
We
no.
couldn't. So we were saying that.
And
what we
sometimes you
did,
may
we
find
should've
out,
done.
hold on,
Right.
sometimes you may find out that the only thing you're actually holding is the paper.
That's true.
There's no money behind it.
So like with these cryptocurrencies and all this stuff that people are investing in, you
Mhm.
don't know, and you're getting returns from them, good returns,
Mhm.
but you don't know if they're legit.
Now,
It
some
depends.
Some banks are not,
Yeah.
some banks are not recognizing some of these investments, and they're not getting, so what you call a return, they're not accepting it
Right.
a bank as well, cause that's a whole field
There's
now.
a whole new area
Yeah.
of banking. Now, if the blockchain technology can trace when you deposited your money when you did your transaction, and when you cash out, and you can print that out, they may accept it. But if you can't do that, that you were the only person, you put in 500, you traded on this, on that day, you made that, you traded that day, and now you're cashing out, if you can't produce a report like that, they will not take your money.
And depending on you as a customer,
Mhm.
if, now this might be an existing customer who you have that relationship with, who you trust, you know, and they could provide it, but it might be different, let's say, for you then tell, you might be able to provide the same things that she did. But because she has more of a better or established relationship with the bank,
They'll take the risk with me rather than you.
rather than you.
So how do I get access to the road check? This is a
I think you have to pay for the
It's
license.
a license and it's costly,
Very
You pay for that.
it's costly.
Very expensive.
Mm-hmm. So it's the, I think companies. have
Companies
it.
get it.
Yeah.
Companies, cause they could, afford it.
Yeah,
Yeah, but, and even for the companies, you pay for the license and you pay for each additional user.
User.
course,
yeah,
So, yeah, it's very
Mhm.
costly to have it.
yeah.
So some people still Googling, cause they don't wanna pay for the word
Mhm.
check.
Yeah, but you need the Google and you need that,
Mhm.
Google.
yeah.
Googling, it's true.
No, but I'm saying, oh, know what I forgot on that list when I was doing the due diligence? I gave you World Check, internet searches,
OFA.
OFA,
The
sanctions,
UN.
and I forgot one. The next one is you can get, an independent, yeah,
How?
you get an independent report, you hire an agency, who will do a background due diligence
Yeah.
check.
Like people do it now when we hiring persons.
But you could do it for
Yeah.
your clients.
That's a PSS check.
Client who is high risk, you do a due diligence, and they will tell you everything on that person. When they born, mommy, daddy, who they marry, what street they live on, what house they live on, when they sold the houses, what the wife does in the day, what she does in the night,
That
which
costly
companies
too.
it's costly. These are in the thousands. These could range from 1,500 to 3,000 to 5,000 to 10,000 to 50,000 to 100,000.
How much is this client worth? What's the profitability on this client?
But all of that, but depends how complex the structure is. Cause you could have one PO at the very top and have 20 companies underneath. And each one is making money, but you need to know the background of each one. Like, even though they have a structure like that, you need to know who's behind each company. Do they own each one? Whether or not, like I was saying, whether or not any of those are joint ventures. If they are, with which company? What's the percentage? What's the contract? What do they get back from it? All of that. And if you do one of those reports, they will tell you everything you need to know. Then they will add into that, any negative news they found. Then they will check every international database until if they found anything. But it costs money.
So why would you wanna, to me, if it's going in, cause I'm thinking that if you get this independent review, when you read this company, this independent person, when they're hitting like a certain point as to what they found, they give you an update and say, okay, do you wanna proceed, cause we're already up to this point, spending X amount of money, why would you wanna further that?
It depends on whether or not you're willing to accept the business. So let's say this person has 20 companies and they say they wanna bring in $500 million. And you know that based on the structure, you're gonna make a lot of fees. And so you reach a certain point, there's nothing negative, but you need to complete it.
So you think they put that charge onto that and
It goes to the client.
This review, independent review goes to the client, it's a bill, okay,
Yeah.
that's what I want.
Yeah.
because I assume the client and you have this agreement that, okay, we need,
We
you wanna
need this,
come
but
on.
based on the structure, we have to do due diligence. So the World Check, the company absorbs. The Google Check, the company absorbs. The very small due diligence, the one for like 1,500, 3,500, the company absorbs. When you start getting 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, it goes to the client. And they actually even tell you in there whether or not this person has been seen taking photos with anybody who's a pet. All of that. And then they'll tell you whether or not it is known that this person is affiliated with, or whether or not it was just a photo, and then it's up to you to go and find out from the client, are you related to this person or connected in any way?
So at this point, the company would have already kinda advised this client that this is the kinda investigation
Yeah,
or check they're doing.
Yeah,
Okay.
before they're onboarded. So if you look at part 8, page 64, 65, in POCA, you see there are different investigative orders. You have a customer information order. You see it? I think I give you all these little forms.
Is that 64, 65?
Something like that. Customer information order 65, under part 8, investigative orders. See it?
Number
I'm trying to get
84, eh?
Hmm? 84, how you get 84? Mine on 65. Well, I guess you want.
Oh, no, the page is 65, so
Oh,
it's
okay.
number 84.
Yeah, 84.
POCR.
Yeah. So it says on this, section 3, the court must be satisfied that there are reasonable grounds for believing that the financial institution may have information that is relevant to the investigation. And that's when they do a customer information as to whether a person holds or has held an account or accounts at a financial institution, whether solely or jointly. And information identifying a person who holds an account includes all information as to the full name, date of birth, most recent address, any previous addresses of the person or any person who holds or has held an account with the financial institution jointly with them. So a lot of people like to do joint accounts. Then be very careful. The account number, signatory, the date or dates of which he began to hold the account, or when he ceased to hold an account, such evidence of his identity as was obtained by the financial institution versus the KYC, a legal entity, they want a description of the business, the jurisdiction where it is incorporated, registered office, full name, date of birth, most recent address of the signatory. So now you see why all of the same KYC you got, why it is required. Because if you get a customer information order, you have to provide it. And you cannot tell the regulator that it's not there, because that's a fine. They want the VO and any other information that the court specifies that they need. So it says under section 8, any person employed by a financial institution that has been served with an order under this section, or the financial institution itself commits an offense under this section, if he or the financial institution knowingly fails to comply or provides false or misleading information in purported compliance with the order, that's an offense. And see what the fine is? 2 years or $500,000. And if it's an entity, 1 million. Yeah, fine. And the next one is a monitoring order. And that's where you can direct the financial institution to disclose information obtained by the institution about transaction conducted through an account held by a particular person with the financial institution. Not have retrospective effect and only apply for a period of 3 months when the date is made unless reviewed by the court. And the monitoring order should specify the name or names in which the account is believed to be held and the class of information that the financial institution is required to give. I know that since the passing of the act, there are a lot of inquiries coming in. Do you know this person? Do you know this person? Do you know this person? As they use the wide arm of the law in order to connect people who are associates. Then you have a disclosure order. A court may make a disclosure order where it is satisfied on reasonable grounds that any property specified in the application for the order is proceeds or instrumentalities. A person specified in the application for an order has derived a benefit from his unlawful conduct. Information which may be provided in compliance with the requirement imposed under the order is likely to be of substantial value to a civil forfeiture investigation, and it is in the public interest for the information to be provided, having regard to the benefit likely to accrue to a civil forfeiture investigation if the information is obtained. And if you have a disclosure order and you fail to comply without reasonable excuse, or you make a false statement, again, it says In case of a natural person, 5 years, or to a fine, or both. And in case of a legal entity, to a fine. Then you have a production order. This is where there's reasonable grounds to believe that a person has been or is or will be involved in the commission of an offense, and that any specified person has possession or control of a document relating to the property of a person involved in the commission of such an offense, or the proceeds or instrumentalities of such an offense. The authorized person to whom documents are produced under this section may inspect the documents, make copies of the documents, or retain the documents for as long as is reasonably necessary for the purposes of this act. And if you refuse to produce, what's the fine? Anybody could think? 10 years, or a fine or both. In the case of a legal person, there's a fine. So you see with all of the new legislation, how strong they've made it.
Going back to the case, she said there won't be a jury, so what kind, where would it be held? In a magistrate court or Supreme Court?
Supreme Court.
Supreme. It's gonna be interesting.
Should be on TV.
No.
But they've given, no, the press has been given a gag order.
That's what was in the paper today.
Yeah, because it's because of this, the
Severity of it.
the severity of it and the stature of the person, and you can already tell from the mood of the people. You don't want it to sway either way.
Yeah.
Take it as it is.
Because some people are taking it
Outside.
very, very personal.
Yeah, they take it personal, and it's not personal.
They
Right.
said some of the persons got death threats. Who
I heard
said,
that.
yes, who said that, who witnessed, like supposed to be a witness and spoke out. They think those persons are saying they received death threats. Yeah, and I know.
Yeah, but some of
This is
but the thing is,
serious.
some of those death threats may be true ones, and some may just be pranks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But why would you go through all that just to be a prank?
Just do it for fun.
Guess you gotta take it all
Because
Yeah.
things can be traced.
Yeah, but they're just doing it. They're just doing it. Okay, let's look at the requirements for trust. If you were to onboard a trust, what do you need?
Source of wealth, source of funds.
A trust.
Well, the KYC docs
Same
for,
KYC information, like source of wealth. KYC on the beneficial owner.
That's the first thing you need.
KYC on the trust.
You need a deed.
On the fund. But in order to get the deed, then you need the information.
No, you need a deed.
now, when you say the, that's the same thing like the trust agreement, or?
Mhm. It's called a deed.
Okay, now with that being said, we were advised, some people don't like to give it, don't like to give it, but they're saying like only the first and the last page is the parts what you may need to get, and that we don't need the middle. I mean, that's it, cause when you say the.
In a way, yes. What's on the first page?
Now, we declined some of them, so we never even reached this
So,
point, 'cause from
We-
what
on the
I-
first-
Say
okay.
in our bank, we say the relevant page is to confirm that the trust has been constituted.
The first page, or the
Not the
last?
first, cause it normally will be, the first page will be nothing much, right?
The first page tells you where the money came from. That's the first page.
You say the stat law?
It gives you the date the trust was arranged. So the date tells you when the legal title of the assets of the settler were transferred to the trustee.
When the legal, say that. again.
Legal title. The last page give you the beneficiaries. Now,
So is that's
no,
not-
no. You need the middle. Why you need the middle? Because the middle will tell you the type of trust. No trust on the top here on the heading says this is a discretionary trust, or this is an irrevocable trust, or this is a revocable trust. You have to read the body to find it out.
So why wouldn't persons wanna present this?
No, I don't know.
So would you need that document just for a bank account?
To open up for a trust, yes.
Okay.
But you opening up a trust account, but if the trust is a beneficiary, you don't need it. For a bank
For a
account.
bank.
For a bank account, she wouldn't need the whole trust.
Why
I'm asking.
Yeah, I
So
thought
now she's saying we do, cause.
Because, no, for our banking side, we don't ask for the whole trust.
So how do you know whether it's revocable or irrevocable?
When they complete the account opening documents, it's
How do you know
indicated in
so?
there. We, fiduciary, we gotta trust them.
No, why I ask,
No?
because whenever this comes up, this is like pulling teeth,
It's the same
and they
for us.
do not wanna provide this to
Yeah,
us,
it's
so
the
we
same
end
for us.
up 9.5 times out of 10 declining to open the account because they do not wanna give us the
Yeah,
middle
so-
portion.
It's
so
the same
what-
for us.
So
We
what
don't-
is there to hide in the middle?
We, cause they said it's the information between the trustee and the client, which is the sad
But you,
one, right?
you know
So-
you know what this is in here in these pages?
So who's
The
gonna-
information between what the client, the settler's wishes.
No, anything in here? No wishes in there.
No wishes in there?
Just powers.
So why they don't give it?
That's
It's, because
I
you
don't
didn't.
know.
Well, you don't give it like she say.
No,
You
but
don't
I mean,
take
like,
it?
on the banking side, that's always been just how
Now,
she said it.
if your company is a bank and trust, and the trust has it, that's different.
Yeah, we can
And,
see it,
and
that's, I
right,
agree.
right. But if you're just a bank and trust, but this is a client coming to be onboarded from somewhere as another jurisdiction, you need to see this.
They don't give it.
They do not,
But
that's like.
if I'm on the banking side alone and we're just opening up a bank account for the trust,
Mm-hmm.
we only ask for the relevant pages to confirm, last page, first page, whatever that information.
So let me ask you this then.
Stating that the
Hold
trust
on,
was
so let me
constituted.
ask you this. Within these powers, right? There's a power to retire and and appoint trustees. So how you gonna know when they move from trustee A to trustee B?
Because we have documents that will allow them to complete that to say that there was a change in trustee.
Or sometimes they don't send it to you. How would you know? Because if you see this in here, and this is actually in here, and sometimes it'll say that this power was given to a protector. And if it's given to a protector, you have to do due diligence on this person.
Yeah. But they have to communicate that to us as the bankers.
And depends on when this was established and when they're coming to open an account, you need to see the deed of appointments of the trustees during all of that period. Because you need to see all the different hands it passed through.
I think that is be like pulling teeth, they do
Yeah,
not
but
wanna
you
give you the
should.
middle.
But a
part.
trustee shouldn't have a problem giving you the deed
We don't
of
have-
retirement and appointment. Because you need to see who were the previous trustees, who managed this account before you. You see, because guess what? One of these trustees could have been involved in a lawsuit for breach of trust. So you don't want on your book something shady where there may be an investigation against one of them. You just say no.
But don't you have, in the separate, you would ask for KYC on the trustees. So the
Yeah, but I'm
trustees are
saying,
entity.
if this was established in 1980, and they're coming here in 2018, you'd want to see the deed of retirement
Okay.
for the trustees in between. Because you're gonna check each one of them to see if there was any lawsuit, any litigation against them for breach of trust.
Previous ones too?
Yes, because when you don't forget now, when each trustee takes it on, he takes it on at that point in time. That includes any breach of trust before. You as a bank, you need to make sure that what you're taking on your books, there's no record of anything. Because in most instances, you cannot go on the internet and see whether or not there's been a lawsuit against a particular trust. So you have to do your background checks. So what else you need? KYC on this one, KYC on these, KYC here.
Okay, right, see for the second one. The beneficiary.
That's beneficiaries?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then you need it on the trustee. Now, say, like I was telling you, someone introduces a client to you. You have to do due diligence on the introducer. You understand what I mean? You have people who have companies, and their company is they assist people in establishing accounts or help them with their business.
Oh, okay.
So when I finished talking to her as my client, she says, you know, I need to open up an offshore account to do some savings for my grandchildren. Find out what you could find out. And then they come up and say, you could open an account in the Bahamas. There are many different ones. These are the KYC requirements.
Is this introducer affiliated with the trustees? So they get a kickback or
No, you pay a fee.
you just pay
They
a
get a
fee?
fee. They pay a fee for the service. And so anyone who introduces business, they call them a business introducer. You have to do KYC on them. Why? Because you want to make sure they have not been charged or convicted for any commercial crimes.
I have never seen that.
What? Oh no, they go to jail. In Europe, they go to jail. And then you have the external asset manager, and they are licensed. And they're licensed to do the same thing.
So is this business introducer, they have
It's just like a
license?
one-man. That's like a one-man shop.
Cause I know sometimes you have, I don't know if it's called the same thing, but you have these persons, these independent people who, like the middle person for loans. Like they go out, they're independent and they go to a business establishment, let's say most likely government, and they put the apps together, like, so you don't have to come to the bank.
Yeah, they're just an introducer.
Okay, so they fall in that same category, okay.
Yeah, like an introducer.
Mm-hmm.
But these ones here, what they call external asset manager, these ones here, when they introduce a client to you, the client gives them power of attorney over their account. That's what they do here. They give them a power of attorney. Here, they're just introducing the client to you. That's it. Once they introduce the client to you, you take it over from there. Here, they actually is the contact for the client.
They're the middle person between.
They're the middle person, yes.
So they have this, they have a legal power of attorney.
Uh-huh.
So will we have to get a copy of that power of attorney?
It's all a part of the account opening package.
Okay.
Yeah. But they have a power of attorney. And then you'll see if it is a corporate account, you'll see where the board, the resolution to establish the account says that it gives this person the authority to operate the account. Okay.
So the first step we doing is we create the trustee, that's the first step.
Yeah, this is, right.
Okay.
This is it, if it is a trust.
If it's a
But this is talking about how the business comes to you, whether it's a trust, an individual, or a company. It could come by just someone referring them to you, or it could come by what we call an external asset manager, which is a company that is licensed to do this business. Again, you still have to do KYC on them. So, nominee and authorized signatory services. We know in the Bahamas you have financial corporate service providers. This is one of the services that we offer to companies who are incorporated here, owned by foreign internationals. So, where you're providing a nominee shareholder to a company or holding shares under declaration of trust, the relevant nominee agreement or declaration of trust must be completed, agreed, and executed by all parties. And you need to get an ID of the DO. So look at it from an opposite way now. If you're running this company and you said, I can incorporate your IBC for you, I can also have all your annual statutory filings done. you have to get all the KYC on that deal. Then you have to make sure the agreements are in place that will give you the authorization to do the things that you're going to charge them for. And that's all the services. So you can actually have an agreement where, as a nominee, when they file, your company's name will be here. ABC FCP as a shareholder. And that's a fee. And then on the back of this, you can have S. Neely, Director, your employee, and that's a fee.
It's a nominee agreement.
Nominee. No, this is an annual statement. The agreement is actually the agreement to say these are the services I'm going to provide for you in a nominee capacity. What I'm saying is, whoever you establish that IBC for, you need to get all the KYC information. Just like how the bank does it, they do the same thing. All the KYC. So where the financial corporate provider is given signing authority or any authorization thereto with regard to his position as a director, authorized signatory, the client must complete a declaration of source of funds. So you see, it's the same thing. If you're going to actually be signing on behalf of this, you need to know where the money is coming from. So you need a declaration for source of funds. And of course, then there's the management agreement, the fee agreement, all the rest of those other agreements that you need. But in essence, client due diligence is key if you don't want to go to jail. It's key. If you don't do adequate due diligence, you will end up before the courts. I know this is an interesting field and everybody wants to get into it. But they have to realize that it's more than just, even though you do a world check, that's a system. You go on the internet, it's coming out. You have to analyze it afterwards. And you have to look for gaps. And I can tell you, when you look at someone on the passport versus what's on the internet, sometimes you can't even tell they're the same people. Because people change over time and they get dressed and look like someone different, they wear a hat, look like someone different, wear a suit, look different. If you don't know, they're the same. So not only you have to check the name, you have to check the name and the date of birth and the jurisdiction to see if they're the same person. Because so many people have the same name. And a lot of people look alike. A lot. So that's it for us today. I give you plenty to think about.
I have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, I far-fetch everybody. If I have a company that's incorporated in the States, and let's say that's ABC Company, that's ABC Company, then I incorporate a company here. That company's in my name decision, and I incorporate a company here. I open a bank account here, and my company here is ZMLP or something, right? Can I say ABC Trading as LMNOP? That's like all my income is going into the account that's here.
No, but the trading hours is for when you have an
What's trading?
operating company.
So which one is the operating company?
No, you establish a
The
company.
bank account here,
A bank account here. A trading hours is when you have not incorporated the company.
Oh, so it's not incorporated.
Yes, not incorporated. That's a trading.
It's like a sole
That's a
proprietor.
Like a sole proprietor.
Oh, that makes plenty sense.
Yeah.
Now you're open a whole.
Yeah, sole
Yeah, my
proprietor. Trading hours.
But in that case, where I've seen business licenses would have, let's say, a company, a limited company trading as something else.
Yeah.
So how does that come about, or what's
They're still
the
a
meaning?
company, but that's their trading name. Which means that when they go out using the trading name and not their full long name.
Oh,
That's
okay.
not a trading as you running a business
Like
and
the
say
individual trading
your
as.
actual name and then say trading as.
Oh,
Trading as Sunview, that's different.
okay.
Then an actual company using a trading as. The trading as is the name they use for promotional businesses.
Okay. So when we get the official documents, we should be getting the documents for the company itself.
The company itself, yes.
Okay, cause like you say, the trading as is only.
It's a promotion,
Okay.
yeah.
I thought that was incorporated.
No. You learn something new every day.
Honestly, cause I was trying to figure out how the two of these companies could be trading
No,
two different
no.
locations. You know what I mean?
And if you wanted to establish a company in the United States, then you go to their offshore jurisdiction. Go to Delaware.
Oh, okay. That's what Delaware does.
Yes, Delaware is their offshore jurisdiction. As long as you are not conducting business within the United States, then you incorporate a company under Delaware, so you don't have to pay any taxes.
And Jersey.
Yeah, but Delaware more. Delaware is really picking up. I think they have 4 states now that do that. Good day. Make sure to read before you come next week.
Yes.
4. Mm-hmm.
Just to be clear.
Just to be clear.
Archie, you know, you have to be reviewing what you gave us. Going ahead is a challenge.
What?